Good evening, council, staff, and members of the public. Before we begin our meeting this evening, I would like to point out that we at the Min Building are still without water. There are facilities outside. There's a trailer out there if you require it, but hopefully maybe the water will get turned on shortly. Council, may I have a mover and seconder to call the meeting to order, please? I have Councillor Garwood and Deputy Cabral that the regular meeting of the Council of the Township of Springwater of November 5th, 2025 come to order at 6:30 p.m. All those in favor? And that has carried. Please join me in the singing of the national anthem. Yeah. Before we move on within the agenda this evening, I just wanted to take a quick moment to acknowledge Clerk Marshall. This is Clerk Marshall's last meeting with us at the township, so we just wanted to say thank you very much for everything that you have done for us and for guiding us at this table and for being our compass, we will say. So thank you very much, Clerk Marshall. And also to introduce to the public and our new CAO Forfar has joined us, our team, and we looking forward to her leadership. So thank you for choosing Springwater. Councillor, are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest this evening? Not seeing any. May I have a mover and seconder for the public meeting, please? Deputy Cabral, Councillor Alexander. That this public meeting of council under section 17, 21, 34, and 51 of the Planning Act, RSO 1990, and CP 13 as amended, an official plan amendment OP 2025-001 and zoning bylaw amendment ZB 2025-005 by Jay Hunter of Morgan Planning Development on behalf of the owners of the subject lands and the draft plan subdivision SU 2025-001 by the Malone Given Parsons on behalf of the owners of the subject lands be called to order at 6:35 p.m. All those in favor? And that has carried. Welcome to this public meeting of Springwater Township Council held under section 17, 21, 34, and 51 of the Planning Act to give the public an opportunity to express their views in regard to the proposed application. The first part of the meeting is to present the proposed application. Following, the public will be given an opportunity to make oral submission through Zoom, application, or in person. Any person wishing to make an oral submission is to have notified the township at 8:30 prior to 8:30 this morning and be added to the commenters list. If a person or public body who files an appeal of a decision of the township of Springwater in respect to the Planning Act application does not make oral submissions at the public meeting or written submissions to the township of Springwater before the proposed amendments are passed, the OLT may dismiss all or part of the appeal. Oral submissions will be included in this meeting's minutes and form part of the public record, including the name and address of the speaker as information collected under the Municipal Freedom of Information Privacy and Protection Act. The minutes of the meeting will be posted to the township website. SU 2025-001, and this is 3169-3193-3207 Berry Hill Road. I will now call upon the clerk to confirm notice of the meeting and the dates to which notice was given.
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. Notice of this public meeting was mailed on the 15th day of October 2025 to the owner of the subject lands and to the assessed owners of 227 properties in the Township of Springwater within 240 meters of the area to which the proposed application would apply, and to all persons and public bodies as prescribed under the Planning Act and its regulations. Notice was posted at the assessed property to which the proposed amendment applies at locations visible from Berry Hill Road. Notice was also posted on the township's website.
Has the planning department received any correspondence in response to the notice of public meeting?
There have been 21 items of correspondence received for this application. From Fire and Emergency Services in an email received January 21st, 2025. Parks, Recreation and Facilities in an email received January 21st, 2025. Enbridge Gas in a letter received January 23rd, 2025. Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority in an email received January 27th, 2025. The Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks in a memo received February 11th, 2025. Simcoe County District School Board in a letter received February 11th, 2025. Simcoe Muskoka Catholic District School Board in a letter received February 11th, 2025. Hydro One in a letter received February 14th, 2025. Environmental Consulting, Inc. in a letter received March 6, 2025. Ainley Group in an email dated March 7th, 2025. Rogers Communications in a letter received September 26, 2025. Canada Post in a letter received October 6, 2025. Parks, Recreation and Facilities in an email received October 3rd, 2025. The Building Department in an email received October 6th, 2025. Fire and Emergency Services in an email received October 6th, 2025. City of Barrie Source Water Protection in a letter received October 8th, 2025. Hydro One Networks in a letter received October 10th, 2025. County of Simcoe Planning Department in a letter received October 15th, 2025. The Drainage Superintendent in an email received October 15th, 2025. Simcoe County District School Board in a letter received October 15th, 2025, and another letter from the Simcoe County District School Board in a letter dated November 4th, 2025. All of these pieces of correspondence can be found on tonight's agenda. Any additional comments sent just prior to the meeting have been forwarded to council and will also form part of the public record.
Thank you, Clerk Marshall. I will now call upon Agents Matthew Corey of Malone Givens Parsons and Michael Hart of Geranium to outline the purpose and effect of the subdivision application.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay? Thanks very much. Just give it a second here. Okay. Good evening, Mayor Coughlin, Deputy Mayor Cabral, members of council and members of the public. My name is Michael Hart, Senior Project Manager with Geranium. I'm here tonight on behalf of our partner CWH Loretto Inc., who have filed the draft plan of subdivision application for the lands at 3169, 3193, and 3207 Berry Hill Road. Joining me in presenting this evening is Matthew Corey, professional planner and principal at Malone Givens Parsons. Next slide, please. As indicated on the agenda here too, we will provide an overview of the draft plan of subdivision application by reviewing the subject site's location and current planning permissions, followed by a description of the proposed development and completed technical work in connection with the application. Finally, we will outline next steps and provide an opportunity to respond to questions. Next slide, please. I'd like to acknowledge that in addition to Mr. Corey, I am also accompanied by members of the consulting team who have completed the technical work in connection with the applications as listed on the slide here too. They are here to assist and to respond to questions or provide clarification following the presentation as required. With that, I will turn it over to Mr. Corey to provide a site overview.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of council and to the public. Really pleased to be here tonight. As always, with a public meeting of this nature, we're here to present what we're proposing, but also to receive comments. We're in the process of working through the development application and we'll continue to do so hopefully in an expedited way to get to something that eventually comes back before you for consideration. And we're eager to hear any comments we have tonight to help us get there with the best outcome and the best plan that we can do. So just for orientation, you can see the slide here. The subject site and the subject lands are at the north end of Center Vesper Community. They are on Barry Hill Road on the east side. The Stone Manor Woods development is located immediately to the south, just for orientation. And the total area of the lands is approximately 26 hectares or 65 acres. The lands are zoned under a minister zoning order that was issued 206/25 dated August 29th, 2025. If we can go to the next slide, please. That's just showing the minister's zoning order. That being said, even though there was a zoning order, the zoning that was implemented on the site is generally the UR2 or the Urban Residential 2 zoning that exists in and around Midhurst. That's the typical zoning that this municipality applies to any lands that are being proposed for single semi-detached units. That's what is being proposed here, single detached. They also permit townhouses, although that's not being proposed as part of this development application. If we go to the next slide, please. So the MZO route was originally pursued, obviously brought before council, and eventually the minister issued that, largely because the applicant and certainly Geranium Homes feels that they can deliver these houses fairly quickly. It's a great opportunity to do that. There is a housing crisis, and even though the market is where it is, I think there's still a real eagerness to move ahead on this site with housing, which is, I think, a great thing given the urgency that's there, notwithstanding the market challenges that continue. If you go to the next slide, please. So there's a lengthy history here. I won't, it's on the slide. I won't go through each point. But, this started back in March of 2024. And now we're here before you tonight after having an application submitted in September that was deemed complete. We have received comments that we're going through. We did have a chance to review all the comments that the clerk mentioned that have been received tonight. Don't see anything in there we can't resolve or work through and deal with. So that's a good thing. And happy to have any additional comments here tonight and forward until we come back for a recommendation report. Next slide, please. So just to show the development plan, you can see it on the slide here. All of the lots are shown in yellow or red. The yellow lots are 11.6 meter single detached dwellings, and the red lots are 13.4 meter single detached dwellings. There are 406 total lots proposed, with 356 of them being the 38-foot or the 11.6 meter dwellings, and 50 of them being the 44-foot lots or the 13.4 meter. I should note that when we looked at the housing mix and what was appropriate, especially in this location, very much thought first single detached units made a lot of sense, but also ensuring that all the units could be sized to have two-car parking, two-car garage, especially on the driveways. There can be smaller lots proposed. In this case, the intent was to provide slightly larger lots to accomplish two things. One, to provide sufficient parking on each one of the units, and also to allow for the potential for additional dwelling units to be accommodated. When you have 4-car parking, 2 in the garage, 2 on the driveway, you have sufficient parking in addition to the unit itself to also accommodate additional dwelling units. And that's something that I know Geranium's contemplating, and it provides a real opportunity for a housing mix here, even though they're all single detached being proposed right now. The other element, and I know it all too well, especially when I cross the Barrie border, is snow, of course, and how much more significant snow happens even here than even South Barrie or further south. And with the larger single detached units, they're still relatively small compared to historic rates or historic sizes. That gives you enough parking on the site. It also allows for snow storage on the front yards, and it does also allow in between the driveways for on-street parking as well to be accommodated for visitors and whatnot. So especially given the location of this site, a little further away from other mix of uses and especially further away from potential like higher order transit. Really think that's appropriate and it's an important consideration. The other elements on this plan, you can see it's a pretty simple plan in terms of the road layout. There are two connection points to Berry Hill Road. Those have been looked at from transportation perspective and believe those are appropriate. You see in the southwest corner, there is a stormwater management slash park being shown there. There's another slide coming up where I can put some more detail to that. And then we're of course bounded on the south by the hydro corridor block that is abutting us as well. So I think we can go to the next slide, please. So obviously with applications like this, there's a host of technical studies that are required. Again, I won't read through all of these, but we had to do the full gamut of all the studies, not least of which being the functional servicing, environmental study and review, urban design, the park and trail facility fit, and the traffic impact analysis all had to be completed. Those were all submitted as part of this application. Next slide, please. In terms of circulation, although this is largely a community that is on its own in a way, like it's in its own little pocket, it will eventually connect back to Berry Hill. And as much as it's been designed to accommodate the automobile, we're also very conscious of the fact that we want to provide a walkable community, especially for future residents to be able to walk to their neighbors, but also to get to the Storm Pond Park. There is a sidewalk proposed on one side of every street to accommodate pedestrian movement, which I think it allows people to appropriately move through the whole property. And to get to the park. Next slide, please. This is a bit more of a landscaping detail, illustrating when you put the street trees in, how much canopy cover can be achieved. There's also, and this is something else to mention on the very far east of the plan. Right now, there's proposed a natural linkage block. There was environmental work done on this site. There is a wooded area, a treed area to the east of us, to the north, to the south. The work done by our environmental consultant and peer reviewed by your environmental consultants looked at that. It's not a significant feature that needs to be maintained. It's not something in your official plan that is identified for protection. However, there was an opportunity identified to potentially at least keep a natural linkage from wooded areas to the north as well to the south on the east side of our property. That 10-meter strip, in addition to anything that the township might like to do on the property that you own, which is immediately east of our property, provides for the maintenance of some kind of linkage between those two areas. And then on the southwest corner, this is now the park. You can see here, it's a little hard to see maybe for everybody, but you can see there's a soccer pitch outlined there. And there's a bit of a facility fit. The site's relatively flat, so it's not like we're having to wait till more detailed grading comes along to see if that will work. We know that we can put a soccer pitch there. And there is intended to be an underground storm provided as well. The engineers, one of the questions I had and asked is, can we accommodate both without functional loss of either? And the answer is yes. Sometimes when you're doing joint storm pond and park, it becomes a challenge to deliver both. They have confirmed that they can deliver the underground parts of the stormwater management in addition to the surface recreation opportunities, and both can coincide here and work together. So that was an important consideration looking at that. And then just to remind council, but also for the public's benefit, the township has really championed this kind of dual use concept of parks and stormwater management. And it certainly was implemented in the Midhurst Phase 1A community, as well as the recently opened Adam Elliott Park in Phase 1B, which features similar programming as reflected in this facility fit plan that you see here. So I think that is a opportunity that was presented a fair while ago by the province to be able to combine these kind of things and optimize land use. And I think it's always a good thing if it can happen. And I think it's great that the township is considering these things and implementing them where it makes sense. So next slide, please. And with that, I'm going to turn it back to Michael, who can tell you more about the servicing side.
Thank you, Matthew. So with respect to site servicing, the stormwater management plan proposes to convey stormwater runoff via storm sewers to the underground stormwater treatment facility that Matthew was just discussing, located beneath the park. The treated stormwater from beneath the park will eventually discharge to the roadside ditch along Berry Hill Road, as you can see in the southwest corner on the screen. The treatment train within the treatment facility itself allows stormwater to infiltrate into the ground, and will also provide quality, quantity, and erosion control to ensure that the Berry Hill roadside ditch system is protected. Next slide, please. Sanitary flows will be conveyed via gravity across the site to the Manhill pumping station located within the park block, and then pumped via force main to the existing wastewater treatment facility to the township's property directly east of the site here too. And the township's property is that of the one located on Dobson Road. So the manhole pumping station, I just noted again, it has the icon SPS on the screen here too. This is something that looks very similar to a maintenance hole cover, and it will be about 3 meters by 3 meters in size, and will have a candy cane looking exhaust pipe coming out of it. So we are working with the town's engineering department to provide shielding around that as required. The improvements to the wastewater treatment system that have been identified will be designed in conformity with the ongoing water and wastewater master plan update that we know is expected back to council sometime this year, early next year. Next slide, please. With respect to the water distribution plan, the network is proposed as a loop system to ensure reliable pressure and fire flow throughout the subdivision. Like the sanitary system, the water system is proposed to connect to the water treatment facility to the east of the site. And again, any improvements that are required to service the subdivision as proposed will be in conformity with that same water and wastewater master plan update. Next slide, please. As we wrap up here, depicted here are renderings of the type of homes that are proposed to be constructed on the site. These are examples of 38-foot singles that Matthew was describing earlier in the presentation. And on the following slide, we'll see some examples of 44-foot singles. Next slide, please. So as noted earlier in the presentation, with the MZO issued for the site, there is an expectation from the province to get shovels in the ground as soon as possible. As such, our proposed next steps include achieving draft plan approval by the end of 2025, and that will allow us to proceed to site preparation, primarily with tree removals in the first quarter of 2026. This timeline allows the site to be well positioned to commence house construction when the market returns, and it supports the provincial mandate to build homes faster. Next slide, please. So with that, thank you, Mayor Coughlin. This concludes our remarks, and we're happy to respond to any questions.
Thank you for the presentation. I will now call upon our moderator to provide the number of people who have registered to ask questions or make comments regarding this application.
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. There are no members of the public who have registered to make an oral submission. However, I do see 2 people online who may have not registered. So if you are currently online and would like to make an oral submission, you can use the raise hand function on the bottom of the screen to do so. I don't see any, Mayor Coughlin. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public that would like to make a submission this evening? Comments or questions? Not seeing any. I will turn to members of council for any comments or questions. And not seeing any. Oh, that was easy enough. Thank you for all who participated in the public meeting with respect to the proposed SU 2025-001 for 3169, 3193, and 3207 Berry Hill Road application and for showing an interest in this matter. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We will now move on to OP 2025-001 and ZB 2025-005 Vesper Hills Development. I will now call upon the clerk to confirm the notice of this meeting and the dates to which notice was given.
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. Notice of this public meeting was mailed on the 15th day of October 2025 to the owner of the subject lands and to the assessed owners of 35 properties in the Township of Springwater within 120 meters of the area to which the proposed application would apply, and to all persons in public bodies as prescribed under the Planning Act and its regulations. Notice was posted at the assessed property to which the proposed amendment applies at locations visible from Seaton Road, Wilson Drive, and Snow Valley Road. Notice was also posted on the township's website.
Has the planning department received any correspondence in response to the notice of public meeting?
There have been 10 items of correspondence received for this application. From Enbridge Gas in an email received October 2nd, 2025. Canada Post in a letter received October 6th, 2025. Building Services in an email received October 6th, 2025. Fire and Emergency Services in an email received October 7th, 2025. Ministry of the Environment, Conservation and Parks in a memo received October 14th, 2025. County of Simcoe Planning Department in a letter received October 28th, 2025. County of Simcoe Transportation and Engineering Department in a memo received October 28th, 2025. City of Barrie Source Water Protection in a memo received October 30th, 2025. Simcoe Muskoka Catholic District School Board in an email dated October 31st, 2025, and Simcoe County District School Board in an email dated November 4th, 2025. All of these pieces of correspondence can be found on tonight's agenda. Anything received just prior to the meeting was circulated to council and will form part of the public record.
Thank you, Clerk Marshall. I will now call upon Agents James Hunter of Innovative Planning Solutions to propose the effect of the official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment application. Evening.
Good evening. So I'll make sure the mic's on and ready to go. Okay, good evening, Mayor Coughlin, council, staff, and those in attendance tonight. My name is James Hunter, actually of Morgan Planning Development now. So we're here tonight on behalf of the Legacy Golf Properties, Inc. on statutory public meeting for official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment applications. Next slide, please. So we're speaking tonight to you for properties, which are municipally known as 2842 Wilson Drive, 2694 Wilson Drive, 2636 Wilson Drive, and 1643 Snow Valley Road. So you can see the properties on the slide there. So the total properties are about 256 acres, but we're only speaking to 120.7 acres, which are subject to the applications. So the properties that we're speaking to are approximately 140 meters of frontage along Snow Valley Road, about 1,100 on Wilson Drive, and 468 meters on Seaton Drive or Seaton Road. Next slide. I'll just provide in the next few slides an overview of the property. So property one is 2842 Wilson Drive. So this does have dual frontage on both Wilson Drive and Seaton Road. And this property here is about 107 acres or 43 hectares. This property is vacant with the exception of one house, which was previously severed off. And this has forested lands on the west side. And currently the use is active farmlands for rotational cash crops. Next slide, please. The property number two that we're speaking to is 2694 Wilson Drive. So this is property frontage on the east side along Wilson Drive and is an area of 108 acres. The access to the site is currently off of Wilson Drive to the east, and many know this as the Vesper Hills Golf Club land. Next slide, please. The last two properties that we're speaking to are 2636 Wilson Drive and 1643 Snow Valley Road. So these have a frontage along Wilson Drive and Snow Valley Road. The two properties are about 48 hectares or 47 acres, 17.7 hectares. And the primary access is from Snow Valley Road, which is on the north side. There is no access currently from Wilson Drive. So collectively, this kind of encompasses the second part of the Vesper Hills Golf Course. Next slide, please. Just for a quick context, so the north portion of our property fronts on Snow Valley Road, which is also bordered by the CN rail line. To the east is a mix of light industrial, service commercial, and active agricultural lands along Snow Valley Road. There's also some residential uses there, it's part of the subdivision. I want to highlight that the Midhurst plant, which is a key servicing facility, is northeast of our property off Snow Valley Road. To the south is agricultural lands, and to the west is also lands owned by our applicant at 1809 Snow Valley Road, and that is the Vesper Hills Golf Club. Next slide. So the applications that we're here for tonight are in support of a future plan of subdivision. I'll show it a little bit closer on the next few slides because I understand it's a little bit challenging to see, but the concept plan is 775 residential units. And the intent of the draft plan of subdivision is to guide the ultimate development of the lands. So what we're looking to do is have a collective goal and an overall approach of a comprehensive development plan, which would provide a complementary and compatible community, would also integrate the Vesper Hills as an amenity and as a surrounding land use. And really just some key features here is the design intent of this community is to respect the existing community character, integrate with natural and recreational features, support a cohesive connected land use pattern, and ensure that there's a seamless transition between new and existing development. So ultimately, the draft plan of subdivision will come after the OPA and the ZBA application. So we're looking to do this in a phased flexible approach based on market conditions. Next slide, please. So collectively, the development plan that we're speaking to, we're going to break it into two distinct phases. So phase one is the yellow, which is the southern portion of our property that you're seeing in yellow. That is the 2842 Wilson Drive property, which represents about 107 acres. That is currently used for agricultural uses, so there is minimal site constraints, which would lead to development. So that enables a logical project start with limited distribution or disruption to the remaining lands. And the northern portions there shown in pink is our phase two. So that includes about 151 acres in total. Development is to follow completion of phase one. And really the purpose of this is not only coordinating rollout of servicing and infrastructure, but a phased timeline accommodated so that we can continue the golf operations on this portion of the property. And we're also working on a plan to relocate any golf holes that are affected, so that is interested by many members, the public as well. The golf course maintains their 27 holes through the ultimate development plan. Next slide, please. So just to highlight phase one, what you're seeing there is, again, the 2842 Wilson Drive. So these are the vacant lands that are ready for servicing and site preparation. Phase one has a total of 448 units, including 202 residential lots, 6 townhome blocks with 144 units, a mixed-use block, a stormwater management block, and 2 parkland areas. So it's hard to see, the blue in the top northeast corner is your stormwater management block. We also have a park just south of that. The bottom southwest portion of the property is the main park block for this site. And then the mixed land uses are divided by color. So the yellow, the orange, and the purple are the single detached lots. And the townhouse lots that you're seeing are in the brown shade, and that follows the eastern portion of the site, and the southern towards a commercial block, which is located at the southeast portion at Wilson Drive. Next slide, please. So as noted, phase two is the northern portion of the lands. So this is phased to allow the relocation of those affected golf holes. So what we're looking at here is a total of 154 units with mid-rise and commercial. So we have 119 residential lots. We have 3 townhouse blocks for 33 lots. 2 mid-rise residential blocks, 2 commercial blocks, a stormwater management block, and we also have parkland and amenities. So the parkland and amenities are also integrated into the mixed use, mid-rise, and stormwater management blocks. So ultimately, the design and integration of that will occur as part of our draft plan application. Next slide, please. I won't go into detail on the slide, but just to highlight a few key things here. So the access and site circulation is multiple access points, but it has been consolidated for efficiency. So we have minimal access points, 2 to the south and 2 to the east. So the future commercial access is also to be finalized during detailed design. We're running a full 20-meter right of way, so that accommodates sidewalks, servicing, and everything else that you need. And at the right of way on the south and the east portion of our property, we are accommodating separation and streetscape enhancements. So ultimately, between the major roads and the future development of the lots, there will be opportunities to landscape and have buffers between uses. The parks and open space is shown in green. So we have a Southwest Park of 2.4 acres. That's intended for passive and active recreation. It's a large parcel that's framed by trees. And then we have an Eastern Park, which is 0.6 acres. That's just south of the mid-rise blocks and the storm pond. So ultimately, we're trying to integrate all those uses together through detailed design. And then both the north phase and the south phase, phase 1 and 2, have their own servicing stormwater management blocks. So all the stormwater is directed into those blue areas, which you can see kind of middle portion of the site and the very top north. So all the flows and management is directed to those areas. Next slide, please. Just to highlight, I won't go through everything here, but we're proposing a number of uses. So we have commercial mixed use, which on the slide here is pink and red. So the purpose of these is to accommodate for the long-term needs of the community, not just our development, but the surrounding land uses. So they're intended for, everyday services such as gas station, retail, grocery. And we have a second block, which is flexible. So that's the top northwestern portion, I should say. That is intended possibly to be integrated with the golf club. So we're looking at opportunities for hotels, event centers, and other kind of passive active recreational uses associated with that. The mid-rise blocks are the orange, which is central to the site. So we're looking at buildings, 2 blocks there up to 6 stories, and that will accommodate condominiums, apartments, and ultimately the goal is to support diverse unit types and densities. And then the rest of the development is broken into street townhomes, single detached lots. So we're looking at 6-meter frontages, about 185 to 200 meters for the townhouse lots. And we've offered a 15-meter, an 18-meter, and a 20-meter single detached lot. So the intent here is really to have a varied type of units, varied type of price points, and ultimately we're trying to accommodate really varied dwelling types to maximize our residential potential, and then also respond to the evolving housing needs that's happening in our communities. Next slide. For a quick planning overview, so the County Simcoe official plan designates this property settlements as it's within the Snow Valley settlement area. Right now, it's within Schedule A12, which is the Snow Valley Community Planning Area. So it's tourist and recreational open space, tourist and recreational commercial and agricultural. And then it's also zoned agricultural, open space, and tourist and recreational commercial exception. So the current designation and zoning on this property reflects the longstanding land uses. Next slide. I'll highlight the official plan amendment application, which is the first application we're here tonight speaking to. So really the purpose of this, again, is to redesignate the lands to the urban residential exception. So that designation will be site-specific, and that's commonly found throughout the Snow Valley secondary plan. So this urban residential designation is intended to align with the Snow Valley area. Just to highlight, for both the official plan amendment and the zoning bylaw amendment, we are not changing the designation or zoning on the lands that are not subject to our applications. So the golf course and all retained lands are going to remain as is their current designation and zoning. And ultimately, I'll mirror this in the zoning bylaw amendment, but the purpose of the official plan amendment is to essentially capture the full range of uses that are proposed. Within that, we're delineating residential housing types and densities, ground floor commercial, mixed use, as well as our public open space and parkland. So we believe that this aligns with policy for compact, complete, and well-connected communities. Next slide, please. Just briefly to touch on it, this is our draft official plan amendment. So the lands that are subject to both the OPA and the ZBA are shown there in orange and pink. So again, just to highlight that we're redesignating only those areas which are subject to development, and the remainder of the site is to remain. Next slide. So following the official plan amendment, we're seeking a zoning bylaw amendment. So this is the site-specific zoning, which is a residential we're calling the Vesper Hill subdivision zone. I'll highlight that in the next few slides, but our rationale for this is a site-specific zoning because it reflects the unique characteristics, context, and development objectives of our site. So essentially, our proposed zone, it does build upon the existing zones which are in the township, but we're incorporating many of those zones somewhat together to reflect the land uses and properly guide development on our property. So next slide. Again, similar to the OPA, the orange and yellow highlights only the lands that are subject to the application. Next slide, please. So the next 3 slides, I'm not going to read in detail, but basically this is included with our application. As I noted with the rezoning is a site-specific zone. So what we've done and we're working with planning staff is to have this site-specific zone broken into the use. So for example, this is for the residential single detached. And what we're doing is drafting standards which would apply to those properties and land uses, which would ultimately guide the development through draft plan and the permits. So next slide. Again, similar to the previous slide, these are our zoning provisions for residential townhouse. There's not specifically townhouse zones in the Snow Valley area. So we're incorporating other components of the zoning bylaw into our own one reflecting the land uses that are desired. Next slide. And again, drawing upon commercial mixed use and medium density uses that are proposed on the site. So what we're looking to do is a site-specific zone that incorporates that, which would establish appropriate commercial mixed use and medium density standards. Next slide. So with the OPA and ZBA applications leading us to ultimate draft plan, there's a lot of technical documents that have been submitted. Just going to highlight that these are under agency, township, and county review. So right now we're in the process of receiving comments through circulation and ultimately working through those comments. We do expect, ultimate resubmission before this comes back to council. Next slide. So just to wrap this up, again, the official plan amendment, zoning bylaw amendment, and future draft plan of subdivision applications. The intent of our applications are to create a comprehensively planned mixed-use community, highlighting this from provincial policy all the way down, complete communities, diversity of needs, with a housing objective to introduce new and more attainable housing forms not currently prevalent, including single detached, townhouse, and medium density blocks with complementary commercial uses. We did, as I noted, had a number of technical studies which were prepared in support of this application, outlining various technical requirements. And ultimately, what we're doing is providing a flexible planning framework. So this is to be refined, as I said, through the draft plan of subdivision application. But ultimately, we believe that the draft plan that's included with our OP and ZBA applications is functional and definitely would provide for a complete sustainable community. And along with that, we believe that not only is this a well-planned and sustainable community, we believe that this conforms with provincial, county, and municipal policy objectives. So I would like to thank council for listening to our presentation, and we are happy to answer any questions directed our way.
Thank you for the presentation. I will now call upon the moderator to provide the number of people who have registered to ask questions and make comments regarding this application.
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. There are no members of the public who have registered to make an oral submission.
Thank you. Are there any other individuals who are present here tonight that would like to make an oral submission regarding this public meeting? Not seeing any. I'll turn to council for any comments or questions. Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. I did receive an email today. I'm wondering if it made its way to the clerk to read out from Mr. Cameron. Okay, so there was correspondence received from Mr. Cameron, and I will forward that to the clerk then to have, or do you want me to read it?
At your discretion, Councillor Moore, it can be forwarded to form part of the record.
Okay.
I'll defer to Clerk Marshall.
Did you get the email?
Yes, so quickly through the chair. We did get the email late before the meeting. It's something that we did review as part of our application, and Mr. Cameron's a well-known person in the community. So the MDS does not typically apply to lands within the settlement areas because they're intended for residential growth and land use change. However, that doesn't mean that we're going to ignore land use compatibility. So I guess to wrap that up, we're working with staff on that, and we are waiting some further comments from technical review for the MDS.
Follow on?
Thank you. I see Brianna in the back nodding her head, so she's on it. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions from council? Not seeing any. Thank you to all who participated in the public meeting with respect to the proposed OP 2025-001 and ZB 2025-005 Vesper Hills Development application and for showing an interest in this matter. Oh, sorry, I do see a on this issue. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. So I'm just going to ask you, so yes, so if there's any members of the public that would like to speak, if you can just come forward to the microphone and state your name and address, and then you can ask your question. Thank you.
Sorry, I wasn't sure about the format and how it
it's
would go.
not a
Wendy
problem.
Newland, I live on 27 Priest Avenue in Snow Valley. My first comment will be, what about the water supply? This last summer, we all were on a water ban because there was not enough support for water. And a lot of people lost their lawns and that sort of thing. And yet how we're going to put 720 more homes in an area that's right beside where there's a large drain on the water. So that's comment number one. I don't know if they want, or do I go on to comment number two next?
You can move on to your next. Yeah,
Sure.
thank you.
My comment number two would be, if this multiple use on the golf course property, I'm assuming they're going from 27 holes to 18 holes. I'm assuming, but that didn't get said, so I'm not too sure how that goes. And then number two, if they're looking at putting a hotel on there and other multi-use, I can imagine people purchasing that home and using it as an Airbnb to allow people to come skiing in the winter and golfing in the summer and that sort of thing. And I think that's a very large impact on our community and how our community is currently being used by the people who live here, not the people who are going to be living here. I get that we want more taxes and do think good things for our community, but I'm not sure that putting this large of density there is a great idea for our community. I'll let other people comment too.
Thank you for your comments.
My name's Phil Kelly. I'm at 31 Priest. My concerns are the traffic. Right now on Snow Valley Road, if you try to get onto Wilson going south, it's next to impossible. The roundabout solves some of the problems, but we now have people coming over the tracks on Wilson Road very, very quickly, and it's very difficult to get out. If you add that many people in that area, including hotels, that's really got me. We just can't support it. You know, you're going into Barrie no matter which way you go out of Snow Valley. You're either going over to Bayfield or you're going down onto Highway 90. It's a mess in the morning. So you add that many people in, it's a bit nuts. I'm not against development, but I think that the township is not, there doesn't seem to be a plan. It's just, oh, that farm's for sale, we'll grab it. And so we've got houses going up off of Doran Road, that subdivision is stalled. You've got these gentlemen with a stalled development at the end of Ann Street. They already own the property next to that, but have done nothing with it. And this is now their cash cow because this is a big piece of land. So I'm concerned also, as Wendy said, about water. I'm very concerned about the traffic patterns because you just paid 7.7 million for a roundabout that isn't going to be able to handle this traffic. So that's another concern. Just the environmental impact is crazy. I mean, the thought of putting a hotel onto that land, the houses is bad enough. But I guess my question on this development is, what's the timeline? Because surely to goodness, you're going to sell out the other subdivisions before you let these guys start building more. I mean, they said they're going to start up at Berry Hill Farms right away. That's fine. They've already got Stone Manor there. They're going to just link up eventually. And I hate to say it, but this nonsense about them saving the trees, we all know that's not true. When they went into Stone Manor, they clear cut it. There were existing homes there that had beautiful 100-year-old trees behind their houses. they're all gone. So his nonsense about trees is nonsense. So my big thing is, this is a huge impact. We don't even know the impact of their previous subdivision because it's empty. There's hardly anybody living in there. There's all this service land that's nothing happening with. So my concern is that I don't think the township is thinking clearly here. Yeah, I realize you got to make more money. I realize you have the pressures of Barrie pushing on you, but the roads can't support it. The water can't be supported. I was one of those people that lost many trees and bushes due to the drought because I was one of the guys that didn't use my water. So I'm really concerned about it, and traffic is the big concern, and noise. You know, most of us live in the country for a reason, and I think you folks know that. And some of you have nice country properties. This isn't gonna help our properties. So my concern is water, traffic, impact on the community, and the roads, because the roads can't handle it. And that road has been under construction off and on for 10 years, with bridges, with the roundabout, with all the other things. And how many entrances, I think the gentleman said, but how many entrances in and on the Snow Valley? So you're gonna have to put a light at Snow Valley Road and the tracks and every entrance into that subdivision. So you're gonna have basically a city in a little hamlet called Snow Valley, and that's what I object to. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Come on forward. Welcome. If you can state your name and address, please.
Lorraine Diapper at 121 Budds Mill Road. And I 100% agree with the previous speakers that we come to a community that's out in the countryside, not expecting hotels and townhouses just down the road. And I agree that I don't think the infrastructure is in there for the roads. And again, with the water, where's the water coming from? Have they covered that in any of these presentations? I may have missed it because they skipped a lot of stuff. But, you know, I saw an advertisement that came through my door that said, you know, live in this community with well-landscaped lots, and we all had to let everything die this year. For the only 2 months that we use sprinklers and such like. I know that's a luxury thing, but we came here with that retirement thing in mind and paid thousands of dollars to put sprinklers in that we can't use. So the water is a big one for me, and the infrastructure for the roads, because it is hard getting out of the end of Snow Valley at that corner by the golf course. You sit sometimes and they're flying across the tracks for quite a while, especially during rush hour. So I'd say there's some safety issues, infrastructural issues, and some water issues. That's not going near the hotel issues with the Airbnb prospects in a community that we've come to live in that was advertised with these wonderful landscaped lots. So it's a bit disappointing. I don't know if anything's getting answered here tonight on the water specific.
This is just to take comments from the public this evening. Thank you. Come on forward. Yes.
Thank you. If I can make one comment.
Just gonna ask for your name and your address.
Get a
first.
PA system, will you? I can barely hear you back there. My concerns, we've been living in Snow Valley only for 30 years. My concerns are that, as the gentleman mentioned earlier, is I don't see anything in this plan that really addresses the traffic impact of adding a couple of thousand more people, a few thousand more people into the area. Seeing and I'm retired for a while now, so I don't commute, but even when I do get on Snow Valley Road or Wilson Drive, you see the traffic has been building steadily over the years as more and more people are moving into the area, which is fine, but it looks to me like when you add this many more homes, Wilson Drive, Snow Valley, Carson, maybe George Johnson, are all going to get a little bit overloaded. And I don't know if you have a plan for that. it would seem to me that meetings such as this should show a way in which the plan integrates into the community and not just the fact that the individual plans themselves are coherent and cohesive and complete and all that good stuff. But there's got to be something about the fit. And the other issue I have, and maybe this is probably the wrong forum, is where are the schools? There's a lot of kids going to be in those places, and especially in new subdivisions, as everyone knows, they load up with kids pretty quick. And I haven't heard a word about more schools. Our daughter went through school in Minnesing, and that was fine. Then she had to go into Barrie North. But Barrie, I don't know where all these kids are going to go, and I don't see a plan for it. Maybe there is a plan. The other thing is, as the previous gentleman mentioned, we live in Snow Valley, what used to be called the Estates. I don't know if they still are. And this year, my lawn was basically wrecked because we had a full water ban on. Somewhat understandable, but it didn't go everywhere. And every year we put in more water usage. So unless this water for these subdivisions is going to come from a different source, all I can see is it getting worse. I might as well throw sand down and call it a beach. The last point was really a question, and it's, we've seen two large subdivision plans this evening. Are they tied together at the hip? Are they separable? I don't know. It's unclear from any of the materials. And that seems to me to be something we should at least understand. Seems surprising you get two large subdivisions showing up at one meeting after 30 years.
And at the beginning, just your name and your address, please.
Sorry?
Just your name and your address, please.
Oh, my name is Wayne Clark. My address is 25 Priest Avenue, Minnesing.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thanks for getting the door.
you.
That's me.
Thank you. Come on forward.
My name's Sarah Horner and I'm at 72 Nicholson. Agree with all the comments our other neighbors and from that community have sort of raised, is that it's quite a shock to the system to sort of visualize and imagine your community very different. But the one thing I think that is being missed is sort of the traffic piece, but the safety piece, because in that original Snow Valley Estates, we are segregated by the railroad tracks already. So if there's something wrong, we're stuck. And we are separated from Barrie and the hospital and all those other things very quickly. Wilson is our only way. So in those times when it's been under construction or there's an accident, we are now all of a sudden add 20 minutes, like the whole safety of emergency services to us becomes very, very critical because there's one way. There's one way in, one way out, either to east or west. So we're very isolated in that sense. So if we add that much more traffic onto Wilson, even if we somehow put that road under construction again, because we all know how many times it's been redone or rechanged, we still, the more traffic means potentially more accidents. Okay, our road's closed. It changes all that flow of safety to all those people that live there because it's an artery and there's no other routes, not where sort of you're in other urban areas where there's sort of a different way or detour. Our detours are 20-minute detours. That's a safety concern for fire, for ambulance, for any kind of emergency services. So that to me, sort of the whole flow of the system, add the trucks that are coming from Edenville Airport up and down that highway of Wilson. Whether that changes over the next how many years, I don't know. But I don't think you're going to change the flow of traffic to how we are isolated away from Barrie and our medical systems and hospitals. So unless that whole piece is really addressed when you add that density, you are putting a lot of people at sort of real risk in a pure safety, whether we like development or anything. There's a safety concern there for if you need 911, sorry, I'll get there in a half an hour and I'm only 2 kilometers away because I have to go around the long way. That's a problem. So I said, I'm not sure how that fits, but something to be considered as we add density there.
Thank you for that. Yeah, come on forward.
Hi, good evening. My name is Tina from 113 Budds Mill. Mine is more of a statement. I agree 1000% with my community members, but I also feel that we're just wasting our time here today. Usually when we're at this stage of the planning application, money has already exchanged hands and the plan is going to go forward regardless of what our concerns are. That's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public this evening to make oral submission? Come on forward.
Good evening. My name is J.R. Newland. I live on 27 Priest. I have a lot to say tonight, trying to stay calm about it all. I live in that area. I moved into that area 25 plus years ago. I built a house in that area for specific reasons, for spring water reasons, Snow Valley reasons, living outside the big community of Barrie. This is now new. This is going to be Barrie number 2. I've been reading what was proposed this morning about Barrie coming more towards spring water. It's been approved apparently. Great. I just heard about this new subdivision that's going up at Barrie Hill Farm. That's 400 plus units. There's 3,000 units going across in the Snow Valley or mid, what is it called? Snow Valley, what's it called? Midhurst Valley. So there's 3,000 units there plus. There's 400 units that we just talked about on Barrie Hill Farms. There's 775 units proposed now. So we're talking roughly over 4,000 units that we're adding on to that small area. I have a civil engineering background and I don't know where they are. I don't know what they're looking at. There is no consideration in the traffic flow. Where do these people work? Are they all staying at home? Are they all working from home? Are we still doing that? Or are they going to be driving somewhere? How are they going to drive? Have you tried driving down Wilson to Ferndale and then try to go left on Dunlop? It's impossible. I know that's Barrie, but it's still our responsibility to dump traffic in that area, and we need to be considered to that. Safety concerns, yeah, absolutely. I also agree with the last person. It's probably already going through. But let me ask you this. What happened to the law that states cannot be built within a certain amount of distance from a livestock farm? Is it all of a sudden changed? Did we just change it handily because it's handy? Because it's going to bring us more money? Is that okay now all of a sudden, where it wasn't fine before? The previous property owner, Cinder Warren, tried to develop that piece of land in a very relatively, let's say, tasteful manner, not 750 units, more like 30 units, more in keeping with Springwater is like and was like. But she couldn't get it through. And you just wonder why. Why now? Why can't this get through now? The farm didn't move. Those rules haven't changed. But yet here we are. That's about all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any other members of the public that wish to speak? Not seeing any. I will turn back to council for any additional comments or questions. Not seeing any. Thank you to all participated in the public meeting with respect to the OP 2025-001 and ZB 2025-005 Vesper Hills Development application for showing an interest in this matter. May I have a mover and seconder to adjourn this public meeting, please? Councilors Fisher and Moore. That the public meeting of council held under sections 17, 21, 34, 51 of the Planning Act for SU 2025-001, 3169, 3193, and 3207 Berry Hill Road, and OP 2025-001 and ZB 2025-005 Vesper Hills Development does adjourn at 7:36 p.m. All those in favor? And that has carried. Thank you. Council, we now move on to our direction following the public meeting. May I have a mover and seconder, please? Councillor Thompson, Deputy Cabral, that council having had a public meeting in accordance with section 51 of the Planning Act, RSO 1990, CP 13 as amended for draft plan of subdivision SU 2025-001 by R. Soving and of Malone Given Parsons on behalf of the owners of the subject lands, having noted correspondence and input but received, direct that the application be referred back to staff. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? That has carried. A mover and seconder for the second item, please. Councillors Fisher, Councillor Thompson, that having held a public meeting in accordance with section 17, 21, and 34 of the Planning Act, RSO 1990 and CP 13 as amended for an official plan amendment of OP 2025-001 and zoning bylaw amendment ZB 2025-005 by Jay Hunter of Morgan Planning and Development Inc. on behalf of the owners of the subject land, having noted correspondence and input received, direct that the application be referred back to staff. Any comments or questions on the motion? All those in favor? And that has carried. We will now move on to our presentations, and I will call upon Cheryl Hoffman of the Orr Lake Ratepayers Association to present, please. Good evening and welcome.
You?
If I can just ask if you can lean in, the microphones are horribly placed, but if you can lean in as close as you can just for our audience, thank you.
We have our first slide, please. Thank you for having us here on what I understand is a particularly busy, momentous evening for all of you. And we do appreciate your attention. I'm Cheryl Hoffman, and I'm representing the board of Orr Lake Ratepayers Association. The association's been around for a long time, since 1954, when property owners first came together to manage water levels and usage of the lake. We have been on hiatus since about 2016, but we are back with a commitment to action and collaboration with council. The need for the association to reactivate and the need for a strategic approach to the issues has never been more imperative. Next slide, please. To get started, I'd like to introduce our new board members. This photo was taken at our rather informal AGM in September. Some of these directors have generational connections to the lake. Some are newer to it. Some are seasonal residents and some permanent. And we represent the full circle of Orr Lake from all compass points and with perspectives that represent property owners, businesses, gardeners, fishermen, farmers, and more. This group has committed to engaging in the difficult conversations, to sharing knowledge, and to standing up for what is right by the lake and its community. So I've asked the board members who are here to come sit up here, a little bit of support. First of all, Nora Dixon, who is our vice president. And Nora is going to be our council rep. So look for her. But this is based on the fact that she stays on top of all things council and watches every council meeting online. I don't know if anybody else can say that, actually. Barb Spottiswood. Barb is our secretary and the #1 nemesis of zebra mussels in Orr Lake. Phil Stafford. Phil is our treasurer. He's a farmer and he's also a champion of conservation efforts in the watershed. Jim Strong. Jim is our lake steward, and this summer Jim has been monitoring water quality and reporting back to SSEA. Brianna Freeland, I have sitting here with me today. I think she's our youngest director. It's also her birthday today. So as our communications officer, Brianna deals with our social media accounts and is patiently building community one post at a time. Ron Grattan is here. If you want to talk about fish populations in Orr Lake, Ron is your guy.
We have a treasure there, and this township has a treasure, and it's not being looked after, and we got to, or we're gonna lose it. A conservation officer standing at our shore and saying that she has no idea what species are in the lake. We gotta deal with that.
And I'm just gonna ask that if you could just come to the microphone just so that everyone can hear you.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll be back. We'll be back. And then Virginia Minnow Freeland is also here, and I apologize to Virginia for not getting her name up there somehow. It's probably not the only mistake up there. Virginia has quickly established herself as the defender of community values at Orr Lake. Absent tonight, but no less relevant to the cause, Jack Franzen, Jacob Ballston, and Blaine Squires. And I hope that you will actually be seeing a lot of them and hearing from them quite a lot over the next little while. I also want to take a moment here to express our appreciation to our counselor, Danielle Alexander, who has been responsive and encouraging in our search for solutions. Thank you, counselor, and we look forward to working with you. Next slide, please. Allow me to put forward a perspective on the Orr Lake watershed that I think Ron would probably agree with. As a designated Class 1 wetland, under pressure from human occupation, Orr Lake is a microcosm of the forces at work in our world today. And sitting here tonight watching those slides go up with those numbers and hectares and the buildings and the why, I'm like, wow, man, you guys have your hands full. Our board has committed to demonstrating respect for the ecology and the environment of Orr Lake in every decision that we make. And we are here to ask you to join us in that approach. Whether it's helping a neighbor plant along their shoreline, or enforcing a building code, or slowing down on Highway 93, respect for the lake environment must be first and foremost. Next slide, please. So why are we important to each other? We represent a caring, thoughtful community with an array of experiences of living with Orr Lake. And we have informed and valuable perspectives that can advise strategies. You have access to the expertise, the regulations, the resources, and the power to create and apply strategies and solutions. We can be a conduit between you and lake users, and vice versa. As we move forward, we ask that you involve us in your deliberations when there are council agenda items that directly impact the lake, when you need advice on the ground, and whenever we can be of assistance. If there are committees of council that could benefit from our participation, we have the capacity to contribute. Next slide, please. We understand that there are many agencies involved in the health and well-being of Orr Lake. Severn Sound Environmental Association, Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority, Watersheds Canada, Springwater and Oromodanti Townships, Simcoe County, several provincial ministries, and others. On any given issue, there is a labyrinth of authority. Just look at this screenshot from your website. Lots of agencies involved. But where do we find the solution? The Orr Lake Ratepayers Association is going to force a conversation about that as a priority. Next slide, please. This one's a little out of order. I'm sorry, I put the slideshow together last week and wrote this week. In the township's official plan, Orr Lake has 2 designations. As a settlement area, the plan advises that development is not encouraged at Orr Lake because of the environmental sensitivity of the significant Class 1 wetland. As a natural area, the plan advises a lake capacity assessment and that the economic viability of resource extraction be considered in development applications. And I'm not saying that to be critical, but rather to reflect another layer of complexity in the Orr Lake watershed. How do we communicate a strategy, and how does that strategy advance the solutions? Next slide, please. For decades, official reports on the health of Orr Lake have been cautioning against increased development in a provincially significant wetland. The weight of population growth, combined with the effects of climate change, have put tremendous pressure on the Orr Lake environment. There is an increased use of the boat launch, an abundance of short-term rentals, more off-season fishing, far more truck and car traffic, and a myriad of invasive species endangering the ecosystem. Next slide. We have had toxic blue-green algae and their blooms on the lake for 3 summers in a row. The blooms, of course, are a result of climate change and warmer water, that's for sure. But the algae is also exacerbated by excess nutrients running into the lake, something that can be managed. If we don't change things in a hurry, the problem of BGA will irreversibly damage the lake, threatening its recreational value, potentially eroding property values and the tax base. Our association has already teamed up with SSEA to identify blue-green algae in the lake. But there is so much to do before the algae blooms. Together, we need to do the right thing by the lake, do being the operative word. We are here tonight to commit to stewardship of the lake and to ask council to lead the way forward. Maybe it's possible to form a working group with reps from all of the involved parties to collaborate on a strategy to help save the lake. Next slide, please. In the spring of next year, our board members will undertake an information campaign. We will be sharing the valuable information that comes from partner organizations and will encourage both individual and community actions. We will also be undertaking a survey to identify the issues that are important to property owners, and we look forward to sharing that information with council. To build a more informed and participatory community, we have plans for a newsletter and a website and community events, including invasive species removal and shoreline restoration. You are most welcome to become members, to support us, and to participate actively in our initiatives. Next slide. By keeping the channels of communication open with the township, we believe that together we can stop the damage and create change. Let's give each other and/or lake the respect we all deserve. Thank you for being on our team, and we look forward to working with you. And we'll take questions if you have any.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much for the presentation. I can open it up now for comments or questions. Councillor Alexander.
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin, and thank you, Cheryl, and the entire board. I'll keep this brief. I was very happy to see that this association was, we'll say, reactivated. I think it's so important to have a group that together can, work, advocate for the community, the lake, the environmental pressures. As a group, you're going to be more heard than as individuals. That's just how it works. So very happy to have that. As I've said to Cheryl, I'm happy to come out to any meeting, any way I can be of service and be a conduit. Very happy. And what I loved the most about the presentation was the comment of forcing the conversation. It is so important to do that. They might be difficult conversations. They might be conversations where we're on different sides, but having the conversation is the first step. So I applaud you as a group for forming the board and coming out and advocating. Thank you.
Well, we'll be back, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Councillor Garwood?
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin, and thank you to the group for being here. Councillor Alexander and I have had many conversations about Orr Lake, obviously our two wards being so close to one another. Ward 1 just abutting Orr Lake. We have many Orr Lake residents that consider Allenville home and vice versa. So I think the work that you're doing is incredible. You have a great partner in the SSEA. I've been a big supporter of that organization as the council alternate to Councillor Alexander, who sits on that committee. They do great work, and I'm hoping we up here can also be partners with you good folks for bringing this forward. I love your slogan there, Lake First, Community Always. I think that is so important. You're right. We have such a natural beauty here in our community, and we need to protect it. I was out at the lake this year myself, looking at the water levels and getting to better understand the concerns that have come forward. And I think you had noted being a conduit between lake users and the community and council and vice versa, and that's so important. So I'll tag along with Councillor Alexander and happy to participate any way I can.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for being here this evening.
Thank you.
I'll have it move in seconder. Councillor Alexander and Councillor Garwood, that the delegation introducing the Orr Lake Ratepayers Association be received. All those in favor? And that has carried. Thank you very much. At this time, we move on to our question period, and I'll turn to our clerk for any registered questions.
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. We have 2 registered question period submissions. The first being Ms. Svechkov, I hope I said that correctly, of 3410 Dobson Road. I'm not sure if she is here in attendance. She did submit something in writing as well. Not seeing her, I will read on her behalf. So this is in regards to agenda item 11.3, Stone Manor, in regards to Stone Manor Woods. Her submission reads, there is no room for sidewalks on Dobson Road where the storm drainage is currently proposed. Alternatively, in previous submissions, there was a proposed walking only entrance from Sunnydale Road to connect to Street A, which is no longer there. One of those options needs to exist. There is a sidewalk on Sunnydale, but at the current proposal, it will lead nowhere, and Stone Manor Woods will not be accessible through walking with the other communities in the area. Additionally, there is the 9-mile Portage Trail entrance from Dobson Road and Sunnydale on the south side, and without a sidewalk, residents of Stone Manor Woods would have no access to the trail.
Thank you, Clerk Marshall. Are there any other members registered?
Thank you. And we have Mr. Crook.
Boy, is it lousy outside tonight.
Evening, and just your name and address, please.
Excuse me. My name is Rick Crook and I live at 716 St. Vincent Street. Good evening, Mayor and Council. By the way, the bathrooms aren't working, so I just went outside and used the new spring water solution in the parking lot. Anyway, for 30 years, I've owned commercial property on Nessa Road directly across the street from the old Barrie racetrack. Excuse me. 25 years ago, the City of Barrie Council turned down the opportunity to have Georgian Downs Casino Racetrack at this location. Essa Road is often referred to as the gateway to Barrie. Unfortunately, the substantial property has been vacant and a vacant eyesore since 2001. Innisfil, however, jumped on Barrie's missed opportunity. So let these numbers sink in. $111 million in gaming revenue to Innisfil. Millions of dollars in property taxes. Almost $200 million of employment income. And it just goes on. It's no wonder Innisfil has a wonderful recreation center and a host of new municipal buildings, parks, as well as other important infrastructure. In 2009, Innisfil used some of this newfound wealth to fight a proposed Barrie annexation of the moratorium lands abutting Barrie. As we all know, it did not end well for Innisfil, as they got nothing for their efforts in the end. Coincidentally, their lawyer happened to be Quinto Annabelle of Loopstra Nixon. Apparently, Loopstra Nixon and Quinto Annabelle has been selected by some of our council to represent our best interest over and over and over again. My question is, how much of Springwater taxpayers' dollars have we given to these lawyers, consultants, engineers, et cetera, to arrive at the same deal we were offered 2 years ago?
Thank you for your, I'm going to call it a comment because I don't have that number available.
No, okay.
Thank you.
Can I assume it's lots?
I would say it's more than nothing.
Okay. Thank you. Have a wonderful night and everybody drive carefully home. I've got a cold, so I'm going to steal one of your glasses.
And I will turn to the clerk. No additional registered members. Any members of the public wishing to ask questions, come on forward.
Hello. My name's Kellyanne Kenny, and this is,
I'm Michael Cheney.
and we are here over the item number 14.2 with respect to the situation with the allowance of a school bus being parked in a driveway. So I live at 19 Pinery Drive. Michael has lived at 17. And I have to say that I'm very impressed with the community of Anton Mills, who has gone above and beyond to support us on the moving forward to get the allowance to be able to allow the school bus. We have a letter from the individual who the bylaw officer has given the notice to about the thing. So we're going to read that. We also have over 250 signed signatures on a petition with respect to the wanting of the approval of the motion. But I also have something that I would like to read to council. So as I said, I live at 19 Pinery Drive in Anton Mills. I'm here to respectfully express my support of my neighbor, Teresa, who is requesting the permission to park their school bus in our neighborhood. Teresa is a responsible and considerate resident who takes great care to ensure that her vehicle does not disturb or inconvenience anyone. The bus is kept clean, parked safely, and moved only when necessary during operating hours. In the time that they have lived here, they have proven to be respectful neighbors who contribute positively to our community. I understand the current residential parking ordinance may limit the parking of larger vehicles. However, in this case, allowing an exception or a special permit for Teresa would not negatively impact our community in any way. The bus is not a nuisance, and there is adequate space to park safely without blocking traffic, driveways, or visibility. Many of us in the neighborhood recognize that this bus represents a livelihood and represent an essential work. Being able to park it near her home provides both safety and convenience, especially during early morning driving shifts. Okay, I respectfully ask that the council truly grant the creation of a limited use permit or allow the change to the zoning to allow Teresa to park such vehicle under clear guidelines. This would be a fair and practical solution to support the local workers while maintaining our community standards. Thank you for your time and your service, and consider the request on behalf of myself and our community. And I'm going to let Michael read.
Just to follow our procedure, but I'm going to treat that as one. Everybody only gets 2 minutes.
Okay.
So that was your 2 minutes, and now we will move on. And we will
2
begin to your 2 minutes.
We'll move quickly then. I do want to apologize if I seem a little nervous. Horrible with public speaking, especially with something that's so important to myself and my family's livelihood. But yeah, so I'll just read this letter. This is from one of the parents of my mother's students that she drives for her school bus. So, Dear Springwater Township bylaw, Teresa has provided me with a brief explanation of the bylaw issue concerning the parking of the accessible school bus in her driveway in Anton Mills. I assured her that if she requires any support regarding the matter, I would be more than willing to help. Teresa is an invaluable member of the community, and I would be absolutely devastated to lose her as a bus driver. This is the 3rd year that Teresa has been my son's school bus driver. My son has a physical disability, is nonverbal, and travels in his wheelchair. Teresa is truly an exceptional individual who makes a meaningful difference in the world, and especially in the lives of the children and families she transports to school each day. Her kindness, patience, and genuine care brings a smile to my son's face every day. My son looks forward to seeing her. She has a remarkable ability to make every child feel safe, valued, and happy. I, along with the others in the community and every staff member at my son's school, can confidently say that Teresa is truly one of a kind. Driving a school bus and working with children who have additional needs is not just her job, it's her calling. Her trustworthiness, compassion, and thoughtfulness are unmatched. Teresa is an absolute blessing and a true gift to my son and my family. I cannot emphasize enough how important it is that Teresa be allowed to park her bus in the driveway. Losing her would be an incredible loss, not only for my family, but for all the children and families she worked with. We would be truly heartbroken if she was forced to give up driving the bus in her current bus route. I sincerely and respectfully ask that she be permitted to park the bus in her driveway. I'm begging you, please, Lisa Shaw.
Thank you.
So that's all we wanted to say. If you'd like the petition and all the signatures, happy to leave that for you, or the letter. Yeah.
We do have several comments and signatures.
Thank you. And if you can actually just have that to our deputy CAO, that would be great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
We can move on now to additional comments and questions from members of the public.
Good evening, Council. My name is Hale Mathen. I'm at 33 Hillview Crescent, Midhurst. I read with great interest the legal opinions on the last several council meeting agendas. To answer the question about how widely or narrowly we should interpret strong mayor powers, at least 2 of the law firms relied on sources outside of the provincial legislation. When I read that, I wondered if we could use a similar extra legislative analysis on the Barrie boundary proposal itself. That is, what happens when we look not only at the proposal that's on the agenda today, but also at the history and the context around it. First, when the proposal was introduced first by the City of Barrie almost 2 years ago, it was originally for employment land. We know that it's changed since then, but that was the original proposal when it came before the provincial committee. We also know that Springwater has a local proposal, a local solution that's in front of it that is and always has been in support of housing and municipal-owned infrastructure. The Strong Mayors legislation grants the mayor special powers on policy proposals that support a provincial priority, quote, in their opinion. This opinion formation process is important because it actually defines what legitimacy means for the proposal. It defines that it is able to move forward. I don't think that it can be taken lightly. I think it's a very sacred process. And so therefore my question is to the mayor, how has this historical and contextual information played into your opinion formation on this topic?
Thank you, Mr. Mahone. Again, the beginning of the legislation says if the mayor is of the opinion, and the opinion that I have is formed up for 2 years, not just contextual information. It is all the information that's been presented to us. Thank you. Moving on to next member of the public for comments or questions. Not seeing any at this time. I will just briefly ask council, do we want to go through the minutes and bylaws and then take a break, or do you want to take a break now? Go through the minutes first? All right, let's do that. All right, well, we'll do our minutes and minutes of organization committee, and we'll take a brief break before we move on to the city of Barrie. So may I have a mover and seconder for the approval of the council minutes, please? Councillor Thompson and Councillor Fisher, that the minutes of the council listed herein be approved and presented. The minutes of the special meeting, public meeting of council of October 8th, 2025, the minutes of the special meeting of council October 8th, 2025, the minutes of the regular meeting of council October 15th, 2025, minutes of the special meeting of council October 15th, 2025, minutes of the special meeting of council closed session of October 15th, 2025, minutes of the special meeting of council October 23rd, 2025, minutes of the special meeting of council closed session October 23rd, 2025. Any comments or questions on that? Not seeing any. May I have a mover and seconder to receive, all those in favor? That is carried. Mover and seconder to receive the board and committee minutes, please. Councillors Fisher and Moore, that the minutes of the boards, committee, and other organizations listed herein be received for information. The minutes of the Huronia West OPP Detachment Board Committee meeting of August 13th, 2025, and the minutes of the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority Board meeting minutes of September 5th, 2025. Any comments or questions on those? Not seeing any. All those in favor? And that has carried. And if we can take a quick 10-minute bio, and we will be back. We will be, council, staff, and members of the public, we will be beginning shortly. We are now moving on to item 9.1, which is a resolution for correspondence received for information. This standing item includes correspondence and information items for council's information regarding the City of Barrie proposed boundary adjustments. Items requested to be added to this section of the agenda can be sent to the clerk of springwater.ca and are due Thursday before the regular meeting of council at noon. Any correspondence received after the deadline will be added to the Friday CIP and the next regular agenda. May I have a mover and seconder for the City of Barrie correspondence? Councillor Thompson, Councillor Moore. That the correspondence items 9.2 through 9.7, now there's 13. 9.13. Correspondence 9.2 is correspondence from Davies Howe LLP. 9.3 is a legal opinion from Loopster Nixon dated October 23rd, 2025. 9.4 is correspondence from Remington Group dated October 27th, 2025. 9.5 is the Joint Land Needs Assessment Stage 3, October 22nd, 2025. 9.6 is correspondence from Davy Howe LLP, October 30th, 2025. 9.7, correspondence from Davy Howe dated November 3rd, 2025. 9.8 is the Joint Land Needs Stage 3 findings from October 31st, 2025. 9.9 is correspondence from the Midhurst Landowners Group dated November of 2025. 9.10 is correspondence from the County of Simcoe dated November 4th, 2025. 9.11 is correspondence from Davy Howe LLP dated November 4th, 2025. 9.12 is correspondence November 5th from Oro-Medonte. And 9.13 is legal opinion from Loopster Nixon dated November 4th. Councillor, are there any comments or questions on any of these? Not seeing any. All those in favor? And that has carried. May I have a mover and seconder for the City of Barrie final boundary adjustment proposal, please? Councillors Thompson and Moore. That the report from the Township Senior Staff regarding the City of Barrie final boundary adjustment proposal dated October 15th, 2025 be received, and that option 1, that Council for the Township of Springwater accepts the City of Barrie's boundary adjustment proposal as presented and inform the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing of its direction, and that a bylaw be presented to the November 5th, 2025 regular meeting of Council for consideration. Option 2, that Council for the Township of Springwater rejects the City of Barrie boundary adjustment proposal and present the information to the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing. And I will now open it up to members of council for comments. Councillor Thompson and then Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Mayor Coggan. I'd like to put option number 1 on the floor for a vote, please.
I will come back to that. I'll just move around to members for comments. Councillor Moore.
Mayor Coughlin. The City of Barrie and the Township of Oro-Medonte, the Township of Springwater, and the County of Simcoe are engaged in facilitated discussions that have now come to an end, with the intent of developing mutually acceptable approaches to enable growth in the broader region. Each municipality entered these discussions with a mandate to represent and protect the interests of their residents and stakeholders. However, our shared overall goal is to achieve outcomes that promote regional prosperity. I want to thank the County of Simcoe and their staff, Dillon Consulting, for recognizing the significant employment lands that will continue to support the economic viability of our region for decades to come, and safeguarding our economic interests of county taxpayers. Their decision also reflected Council's support to the local municipalities in making decisions about their housing lands. Also, as a principal, county supports the concept of where a municipality can provide water and wastewater services, and that they should be the conveyor of such services. According to Hempson, if annexation occurs, it will be adjacent to an existing urban area and for dense suburban housing that otherwise cannot be accommodated in Barrie. Under the final proposal from Barrie, they're looking at 3,004 acres. That land would be transferred from the Township of Springwater to the City of Barrie. Through the technical memo prepared by North-South Environmental, it was determined that 1,472 acres would be suitable for development. Of this total developable hectarage, 313 hectares are intended for employment and 283 for community use. For a total of about 500 hectares of community lands was stated to be required by the Hempson Stage 3 Land Needs Assessment. I would ask now if Clerk Marshall, please, could put the City of Barrie proposal map up on the screen. I do this as a reminder, but also as an illustration of what it is that the City of Barrie is asking. So this map is the same that is included in your package, or I'm sorry, on the agenda. That is approximately the 3,000 acres, but it's not an accurate depiction because recently the City of Barrie has said the east and west lands of Little Lake are no longer included. So I'm not quite sure what the final map looks like. The second map that I'm hoping that Clerk Marshall has handy is the map that the County of Simcoe proposed this week. The County of Simcoe proposed suitability in meeting the community land needs outlined in the Dillon Consulting Report, which I consider as a neutral party. They are a party that the county themselves went ahead and had commissioned to do this work. So those lands, the furthest to the east are Oro lands, and then the red outlined parcels are those in Springwater Township. Those the county has said will meet the community land needs as assessed and required. It's a significantly smaller map than what the City of Barrie is asking for. I cannot support the framework as originally suggested, and I'll be voting against it, which is no surprise, but I do see an opportunity. I do see an opportunity to request that the minister consider the vast differences in the maps provided and ask that there is a decision to be made that only the County of Simcoe map is what is considered. So I have prepared a notice of motion, understanding that the facilitation process is now complete, and after tonight's vote, the decision lies entirely with Minister Flack. But I would like to propose a motion without notice that the minister be requested to review and consider the map from the County of Simcoe. If I could go ahead and read that now, or should I ask to waive procedural bylaw so that I could get my notice of motion on the floor? I'd like to have it dealt with before we vote.
I think that there are two ways to handle it. This could simply be an amendment to it so that we wouldn't need to waive procedure, and could just be an amendment to the motion, either option one.
Okay, so I wouldn't be then either adding or removing option one or option two, that we would still vote that separately?
I will defer to Clerk Marshall.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. Just looking, so it sounds like potentially Councillor Moore, so you're not looking for option one or option two. You're essentially proposing a third option, is that?
In a sense, but I would like to vote on it if I may, if council will indulge me, please, to vote on this and before we vote on the entire framework. And I can read my motion so that you're clear.
Clerk Marshall? If Councillor Moore wishes to bring forward a motion without notice, that would require a motion to waive the procedure bylaw first. Yeah.
Okay.
And for clarity, this would form part of option 1 or option 2, or this would be a separate notice of motion, which would send correspondence separate from the vote. Clerk Marshall?
Sorry. I would also note that currently we do have the main motion on the floor. It was moved and seconded, so just kind of waiting on the disposition of that first before the procedural bylaw can be waived and something else be put on the floor.
So we have to vote on the framework first.
Correct. So the motion on the floor is the whole thing, that the report from staff be received and then there's the option 1 or option 2. Council would need to select one of those options and vote on one of those options.
Okay.
Councillor Fisher?
I'm just wondering if we could hear the motion. My thought is that it may potentially influence something. I think we should hear it before, if the Councillor Moore is okay with that.
What I'll ask for then is gymnastics. Waive procedural bylaw to bring forward a notice without motion.
Defer this first part. Motion to defer this.
I'm just gonna look for clarity. So the end, I just want to get to the end goal. You just want to read it and then,
And then vote to send it out to outside of before we vote.
if you can read it as part of a statement, and then if we can this be brought forward then during notice of motion then?
I want it to be voted on.
Oh, sorry, just your microphone.
Thank you. Sorry. I don't want to muddy the waters, but I do want it voted on either before or immediately after, but separate from the actual vote for the framework. That's all. So if you're happy to listen, I will read it. And then if we want to talk about where it's more appropriate to fit in, that's fine. Or we can defer the framework decision until after.
On the floor right now to proceed.
Okay, so we'll have a motion to defer to allow an opportunity for Councillor Moore to bring forward a notice of motion.
Thank you.
Without motion. Motion to defer, please. Moved by Councillor Moore, seconded by Councillor Fisher. All those in favor? I need one more hand. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. Thank you. That has carried, and I'll go back to
Now we need to waive the procedural bylaw.
a motion to waive the procedural bylaw. Moved by Councillor Moore, seconded by Councillor Fisher. All those in favor? That is carried. And I will
Thank
turn
you.
back to Councillor Moore and just ask for a seconder on the motion. Councillor Fisher, Councillor Moore.
Thank you. And thank you for your indulgence. Sorry. And thank you to the audience. This is going to be slightly complicated and we want to make sure that we do this correctly. At least I do. We note that I didn't get the other map, sorry. Clerk Marshall, the County of Simcoe map. Yeah. Noting that the community lands outlined in red to be annexed and recommended, that is what was recommended and endorsed by county staff in reference to consideration of the boundary adjustment. The lands are sufficient to meet the requirements for the City of Barrie anticipated growth challenges, as well as meeting the province priorities of building more homes faster, and that the City of Barrie not be provided any additional lands outside of the recognized immediate need for community lands. So the motion would read, and I believe you have a copy of that, Clerk Marshall, that the minister be requested to review and consider the map on Schedule A to the boundary adjustment agreement with the City of Barrie. Delineating the lands to be annexed from Springwater is modified to reflect those parcels S1, S2, S3 shown on the map from the County of Simcoe, C0 2025-297 Schedule 3. That was shown at the special meeting of County Council yesterday. The MZO lands in the Bayfield corridor are serviced by Springwater, and the framework agreement be modified to remove the reference to cross-border servicing found in section 1, 3, and 6 and 4, and that the Minister of Municipal Housing and Affairs be informed of this request. The lands highlighted are sufficient to meet the requirements for the City of Barrie anticipated growth challenge, as well as meeting provincial priorities. I see this as a compromise, and I mean, I'm certainly not naive enough to think that we're not going to lose some land. I believe that we will. But I think that we can be the driver of our own destiny here. It's been a difficult decision to even, come forward with a compromise. But I think this does meet all the needs, and hoping that council can support and be flexible.
You have it moved in second. I'll open it up for any comments or questions. Councillor Garwood?
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. And thank you, Councilor Moore, for bringing this forward. I guess I have a couple questions that might turn into concerns. So with this map, again, first of all, I think we're all advocates for the least amount of land possible as a part of a transfer, right? That's a no-brainer. But I also, two pieces here. So understanding that this was the map that was presented by county staff, but from what I understand was not the map that the county of Simcoe endorsed and approved through county council. I see this request as maybe similar. We know the county of Simcoe and the township of Ormodonte, both with their respective motions, had additional considerations associated with their motions, but they still endorsed the framework that was in front of them. And I think that's what's different about this tonight. We've been asked by the province to consider a framework that's in front of us, not build our own at the 11th hour. This would have been a great conversation a month ago during the plenary session. So that's, again, my concern with all of these additional considerations. So I see this as outside of what the province has asked us to consider. Also, I know there's mapping regarding Ormodonte here, which wouldn't be our place to say yes or no to. So those are just my concerns at the forefront, but thanks for bringing it forward.
Councillor Fisher?
Yeah. I remind Councillor Garwood, very few of us up here were actually part of the plenary session. It was really just the mayor and Councillor Thompson actually got to go. But really and truly, I've said this in council before, this council's been really not afforded an opportunity to negotiate, to draw up their own map. When the county came forward with this and I saw it, I mean, I am willing to compromise to some extent, and I do feel that the research the county put into it was sufficient. I also think that the servicing staying in Springwater is a Springwater solution that will see development come in a timely fashion. I also think that this won't hurt the ability for Simcoe County. If it's something they can live with as an upper tier government that won't hurt them financially in terms of delivering services, building out the airport infrastructure, it's something I really do see as a viable solution that maybe will appease Barrie to some extent, won't hurt Springwater, it will allow us to grow and chart our own course. I don't see this as separate. I actually see this as a viable opportunity. And I also don't see this as the 11th hour. You know, we're constantly told that the hammer's coming down. It's going to happen. Yeah, it will, but we're still in talks. You know, this is something that's slowly coming together, but we need to let the facilitator, we need to let the minister rather know that this is something we can live with. I cannot support option one. It's an abomination that, frankly, very few members of this council had any input on. The public, by and large, does not agree with. So I can't support option one. But I do support Councillor Moore's what she's proposing.
Councillor Alexander?
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin, and thank you, Councillor Moore, for bringing this forward. I did watch the county meeting. I wanted also to say thank you to county staff, specifically General Manager Elliott. The amount of work that was put into the report, the amount of information, which I think we should all be able to say is truly just right in the middle, not biased on either side. We have different organizations advocating for different things on both sides. The county is our partner. They are upper tier municipality. I feel it's not the Hempson report coming out of Barrie that was paid by Barrie. So I do really want to commend county staff on that, but I also want to just read a couple of excerpts from the Dillon memo, which was part of the county presentation. So one of them refers to the Northern Regional Market Area. And so quoting from this, the proposed major new employment area in Barrie is of most concern as it would create an intervening opportunity that will undermine the growth potential of the Northern Regional Market Area over time. This outcome would not be in the best long-term economic interest of either the county or many Northern Regional Market Area communities, of which one is Springwater. So to be clear, not in the best interest of Springwater. The second piece second excerpt I would like to quote is the financial and economic impacts, and it's the proposed expansion would translate into significant future lost tax revenue opportunities for the county. The net effect would be negative in that it would reduce the funds available to finance county growth initiatives and potentially undermine the economic development efforts of other local municipalities. Again, Springwater is one of those municipalities. So this is our upper tier municipality, our partner, telling us what our lawyer has told us, what we have heard from numerous other advice. It is not a good deal in front of us. I have said from the beginning, I cannot support option one. I cannot support the framework. I do not want to just walk away from the table. The table is still there. Let's be clear. We don't have the opportunity to negotiate with Barrie, and that's fine, but we have the opportunity to let the minister know how we feel. And again, would I like to just say no? I don't want to give up any lands. I think I sat here at the beginning and said, I won't give up land. It's naive. We will lose land. This gives us an opportunity to lose the least amount of land and not sell our future, which unfortunately is what the framework is doing. So thank you, Councillor Moore, for bringing this forward. I will support this.
Councillor Garwood?
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. Just a few points. To say that we have not been afforded as a whole, this council, an opportunity to provide feedback is just completely incorrect. I don't want to have to say the same things I've said the last 3 meetings, but we have had 2 years of opportunity. We have had, and I think we can all agree, 30 probably plus open and closed session meetings regarding this matter. We have all had an opportunity, and I understand maps come forward at the last minute, and again, that's not any one person's fault here. We didn't present that map. That's fine. But again, to say that we have not had an opportunity is false. Secondary to that, while we're still at the table, the facilitation process is coming to a close, whether we like it or not. That's not our rules. None of us have liked those rules. We have all asked for an extension, which actually we are a week and a half already beyond, actually, sorry, a month beyond when we were supposed to have this completed. The deadline was September the 30th. That was very clear. We were told that months ago. We are now sitting here on November the 5th, once again, without decisions. While I completely agree that the county has provided this information, the county has also chosen, with other considerations added, to move forward because they understand. And again, this is my assessment of what I watched. I don't sit on county council, but they as a whole, overwhelmingly from what I see from the vote, was that they didn't want to walk away. They knew that after advocating and sharing concerns and pushing back, as this council has done as well, as Oro-Medonte has done as well, saw the writing on the wall and understood. It was mentioned last night at the Township of Oro-Medonte. I am not saying anything that I didn't hear in that open meeting, which was land is going to Barrie, whether we like it or not. And I believe one of their members of council said that directly. That is a part of that facilitation process. So it is time that we be that adult in the room and we move forward. That's what they chose to do. Oro-Medonte has shared those concerns and still continues to say we will advocate for what's best for our residents. There are many deals and many points in these proposals that are going to be discussed and negotiated and determined over many months to come. And I agree with their approach. because they've understood that there's a lot on the line here. So again, I know we're picking and choosing pieces of documents that come forward to us that work with our own individual perspective, but we have a timeline, whether we like it or not. We could not like it all day long. We've had the conversation for many years now. It's time that we vote. So if the decision is going to be to endorse this proposal, I think we can see the writing on the wall as to where this is going. Obviously, every council member deserves an opportunity to speak, but I respectfully ask that we move forward with the vote and continue forward with tonight's agenda.
Counselor Thompson?
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. And I guess to you, Mayor Coughlin, first of all, were you aware this map was being shown tonight, number one? And number two, if this is a map coming from the county, why didn't the county present it in the county meeting and voted on it in the county?
Thank you. I was aware that the map was being requested. This map was presented to county council as part of a 118-page document at 5 p.m. the night before the vote. That was the first time members of county council saw it. County council has not voted on this, nor have they endorsed this. This was appeared as Schedule 3 as part of that. The reason that it was in there was to provide a separate option. However, the county council, basically it came down to, if county council was to vote on this map, county would be voting on an orange, where the two municipalities would be voting on something completely different. The province has asked us to vote on a framework agreement proposal, which includes the second map that was shown, not this map. So those are my comments. Councillor Thompson?
Follow on. So Clerk Marshall, could you show my map? There's been a lot of discussion in these chambers and accusations about mapping and where maps came from. And a year before we were elected, the council of the day decided not to support a Springwater business park. A landowners group came and presented it. And after that was turned down, to me, that's really what started this whole process. They sent this map to the province. This is a landowners group in Springwater. And you can see the highlighted area there. I think this council has really acted inappropriately, and that we haven't really done a very good job. I learned about something regarding confirmation bias during this process. And I think that we owe our residents a big apology here. We've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in lawyers' fees and consultants, and we're really right back to the start. Mr. Crook asked tonight how much we paid Loopster Nixon. We all got an email. We've paid $82,000 of your tax dollars as of August billing, and that's likely to at least double that. And we're no farther along, and really, like he said, we're really right back to the beginning. I mean, this, we've heard here tonight that this new mapping from the county, we need more time, and that we haven't really had any opportunity to have input. That again is a fabrication. We've had lots of opportunity. We chose for the first year not to participate. This past spring, I attended a water and wastewater master plan where all the residents came to talk about it. And I met with a group of landowners that lived on Dobson Road, and there was 12 of them, and they had incorrect information. They were worried that they were going to become part of Barrie. Their wells had got contaminated from runoff, and they had to go on municipal water. So I was able to meet with them. I was able to spend time with them, and I was able to alleviate all their fears regarding them going to the city of Barrie, and our planning department did a absolutely wonderful job in helping them. So this last minute ditch attempt to muddy the waters, this last attempt to derail this agreement, I don't think it's appropriate. I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair for the process. We have an opportunity tonight to really do what the province has asked us to do and either vote on a framework agreement. I think it's time that we do our job, that we do what we're paid for, and vote on it and either say yes or no, and send it to the province who really is going to decide. They need to know where we stand. Oro has approved it. The county has approved it with the mapping that's in the framework agreement. We don't need a new map. We need to decide whether we're willing to approve this or not approve this.
And as a reminder to members of council, we are speaking to a notice of motion that was brought forward by Councillor Moore. So comments on that, Councillor Fisher.
Guys, it never ceases to amaze me how some people advocate for giving away our land so much. Councillor Thompson, this didn't start with a garage door company. This started with two mayors having meetings back in early 2023. Meetings that this council and other councils didn't know about, and no minutes were ever taken. So I still don't really know what happened in those meetings. That's where this really started. As for the money spent on lawyers, well, we wouldn't have spent that money if we weren't dragged into this. So, you know, the idea that we've spent too much, I actually agree with you. We've spent money because we had to do our due diligence, right? We were forced into that. We were dragged into that. I can't be rushed into making a bad decision. As a matter of fact, the facilitator and the province have asked for our opinion. We weren't asked to be choice closed here tonight into choosing one or two. We were asked to provide an opinion. I think what Councillor Moore has brought forward to us is a very good compromise, one that sees, and I'll say it again, it sees us keep our sovereignty. It keeps our taxes here in Springwater. And I actually really do want to actually go back to the garage door company story that you're always touting. That was on agricultural land, Mr. Thompson, right? There was industrial land to facilitate it. So I know it's a narrative that you like to champion as a reason for giving away almost 4,000 acres, but it's simply not true. I watched those council meetings back in the last term. It's very different. So I'm sorry, I disagree.
Any further comments or questions on this notice of motion? Deputy Cabral.
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. I'm not going to say we're back at the beginning. I mean, basically in a nutshell, this isn't our deal. This isn't council's deal. This was a deal that was arrived at through strong mayor powers unilaterally by our mayor and the mayor of the city of Barrie. So we've been put in a box where we're basically, as a council, being told, here's what the deal is. You're either for it or you're against it. The problem is that we never had an opportunity to fine tune any deal. And to suggest that there was public input, as Councillor Garwood has, that we've had all of these meetings. Yeah, we've had meetings as a council, but there's been no public input. Public has sat in the audience, in the gallery as you have, or watched on YouTube, but they haven't had their input. The only input I've gotten from residents is residents who tell me what they think I should be doing for them. And to the point with respect to Councillor Thompson, I'm very happy that you brought up the MZO from the last term, because frankly, it was agricultural A1 land in a green buffer zone established by this township. And also there is a buffer zone through the county, if I'm not mistaken, to keep space in between the municipalities and settlement areas. And the problem with that is what you're really saying to me is that if someone who buys agricultural A1 land decides that they want to have an industrial park there or an amusement park, whatever they like, it's okay. So if they don't get their way, what they do is they want to redraw the map so that the city of Barrie now becomes the boundary line and they're inside the city of Barrie, and that the city of Barrie will somehow think that an MZO at that location is all of a sudden okay. And that actually is one of the reasons why I struggle so much with this whole process. Because at the beginning, it was behind closed doors. This council was unaware of what was going on. Maybe you knew what was going on, Councillor Thompson, but I certainly didn't. But Mayor Greenlaw and Deputy Mayor Peter Lavoie, they went back to their council and they asked their council for direction. That never happened to us. in Springwater. And I'm not finished yet, Mayor Coughlin. So I just want to point out that there hasn't been public input. This has been an ongoing process about getting to the table. Well, finally, someone went to the table and they came back with a deal that, unfortunately, as much as I would like to work with the city of Barrie, work with the county, and work with Oro-Medonte to address all of the provincial priorities to the best of my ability, there are things in that framework agreement that I simply cannot abide by. You know, we have moral compasses. My moral compass says that there are some things in that framework agreement that I cannot do. And there's some things in that framework agreement that the residents of Springwater Township now are hearing that that's what's going on. Developers and landowners are dictating where the boundary is going to be. That's what you've just brought to the table, Councillor Thompson. So I appreciate that. As far as Councillor Moore's suggestion, we've been put in a box where we're going to have to vote on the framework agreement. And the unfortunate part is, as much as council might like to collectively work with the city of Barrie, Oro-Medonte, and the county, we're in a position where the framework agreement is what it is. It's the same framework agreement we were presented with last time. And that's the unfortunate part. I applaud Councillor Moore for letting the provincial facilitator and Minister Flack know that there is a desire on this council to help. There is a desire on this council to work with our neighbors. But at the end of the day, if we're forced to vote on the framework agreement, I still would like to see Councillor Moore's motion go forward, because at least it provides us some opportunity to let the province know how this council feels as a whole. And it also provides us the opportunity to let those voices be heard. What the province does is up to them, and I get that. I don't have a problem with that. But at the same time, I think they really need to know how members of council feel about the whole process. And I also would like to say that with respect to the audience here, those who would like to see the boundary adjustment happen versus those who definitely don't want to see it happen, it's a very, very difficult position to be in, where you'd want to be able to adjust and vote in support. But because what we've got is 100% and we're not given the opportunity to abide by 85% or 80%, you know, we're put in a position where we're going to have to vote our conscience and vote on behalf of the residents of Springwater Township. So I'm going to leave it at that. I did bring up here the resolution that was presented at county, and I was going to read it, but I'm not going to, Mayor Coughlin, because I don't think that's appropriate. I think at the county level, it's the county decision. But I do agree with Councillor Moore's motion that letting the minister know that there is opportunity here is very, very important before we vote on the actual framework agreement.
Thank you. And just for clarification, comments were made that there was no public input. I just like to be clear that the corporation has followed the planning policy. We did in fact have a public open house. We did not skip over that. Also, secondly, the first time, maybe not the first time, at some point when this framework agreement was brought to this council for input, rather than this council choosing to have input, this council chose not to give input, not to do anything with it. We chose no thank you and pushed it away, not to receive it. So to suggest that we haven't had opportunity, we chose not. It was not that it wasn't given, it was a choice. And this council voted not to receive. Councillor Thompson?
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. Just one clarification and comment for the public to be aware of regarding MZOs on agricultural land. Since that one, the Springwater Business Park was turned down by the previous council, again, which I've been very clear, I think is a big mistake. This council has approved 3 MZOs on agricultural land as well. So,
just, and I can't help it. Oh. I'm So again, council, we are focused on Councillor Moore's motion, which is a map that has discussion. Perfect. All right. Any further comments on on the notice that is being forwarded without motion or without notice? Sorry. Not seeing anything further. All those in favor? And those opposed? And that has carried. We will now go back to the item before us, which is options 1 has been tabled by Councillor Thompson, and a seconder, please. Sorry, I need another, sorry. Clerk Marshall.
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. So the motion coming back onto the floor to be moved and seconded is the motion that was on the agenda. Yes, Councillor Thompson hadn't put anything on the floor at the moment as for option 1. And I would say now that the motion from Councillor Moore has passed, the option would then be to just reject the framework agreement. Option 2. That would frustrate, like it.
Understanding that council has provided that the minister be requested to review the following. I'm not sure, I've never had to procedurally do this before, but at the end of the day, the province has asked us to vote on the framework agreement, and I would like to move forward with that vote. Clerk Marshall.
Thank you. Yes, I understand. Just the second line, that the MZO lands in the Bayfield corridor are serviced by Springwater and the framework agreement be modified to remove the reference of cross-border servicing in sections 1.3 and 6.4. That to me means the framework agreement can't be put on the floor to vote on now. It's been modified. It can't be put on the floor as is to be voted on. To accept, option 2 needs to be put on the floor.
Option 1 could be to accept as amended. I'm not walking away tonight without voting. Like that's not happening. So we will sit here if we need to take a recess to figure out how to do it procedurally. We'll just take a minute. Sorry, Councillor Alexander.
Just procedurally, I think all of us want to vote tonight.
Yeah.
So understanding that maybe option 1 has to come off of it. If the vote for option 2, isn't it the same whether it wouldn't one negate the other? You know what I mean? If it passes or fails, if option 2 is to deny it or refuse it, and that fails, then we move forward with it. Is that procedurally, am I making any sense? Oh, okay.
Deputy Ainsworth.
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. A motion, option 2, for council to reject the Barrie boundary adjustment proposal. Council supporting that would mean just that, council rejecting the proposal. If council voted that down, it wouldn't automatically mean an approval of the framework agreement. Unfortunately, because this motion was deferred, Councillor Moore's motion is in direct conflict to option 1 of the motion that was previously on the table. For council to consider option 1 as is, would and approve that, would then have 2 conflicting motions. There's a material change to the framework agreement that has been supported by council due to the last motion on the table. That is the concern and the procedural issue that we're faced with.
Thank you. At this time, I'm looking for a mover and seconder to have option 2 put on the floor, please. And option 2 is to reject. So those who do not want to see what happened would vote in favor of this, and those who don't would vote against it. It's the same thing backwards. It doesn't matter. The vote's going to be the vote.
Yes to reject.
Correct. So this is option 2. A mover and seconder, please. Councillor Fisher, seconder. Councillor Moore. So council, we have at this time on the floor option 2, that Council of the Township of Springwater rejects the City of Barrie boundary adjustment proposal as presented and inform the Minister of Housing of its decision. Are there any comments or questions on that? Deputy Cabral.
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. I think it's really only appropriate. I don't know about rest of members of council, but I feel an obligation to at least say what some of my concerns were before going forward. So I do thank you for the opportunity to speak, and I raise these concerns out of respect for our community, our farmland, and our shared responsibility to protect Springwater's long-term character and fiscal health. While I recognize the province may ultimately act on boundary adjustments, I cannot support the framework agreement in its current form because it places housing outcomes for our community at an unacceptable risk. My worry is housing and where it will be built. The framework risks shifting the location and control of housing-focused lands away from Springwater without ironclad protections for affordable, diverse, and locally needed housing. Housing decisions shape daily life, school capacities, servicing costs, and the kinds of neighborhoods our residents will live in for generations to come. Ceding control or agreeing to terms negotiated outside full council scrutiny risks outcomes that do not reflect local needs or priorities. The process matters. Key discussions and maps were advanced without full council engagement or clear public disclosure. Decisions that affect where homes are built deserve council-led, transparent deliberation and community input. Sealed packages and backdoor negotiations undermine public trust and deny residents a meaningful say in choices that will directly affect their families and property taxes. Fairness and precedence are also at stake. If boundary changes or MZOs become the route to deliver developer-led housing or industrial complexes that earlier planning rounds or council decisions did not approve, it creates the appearance that private interests can bypass local planning processes. That outcome would reward speculators and developers who stand to gain financially, rather than ensure housing and employment lands that meet the needs of Springwater families, workers, and provincial priorities are put in place. I'm conscious the province may impose a boundary change. If that occurs, I would want any provincial action to be less generous than the current behind the closed door deal and structured to protect Springwater's residents by requiring enforceable commitments on housing mix and affordability, clear plans for local servicing and school capacities, and guaranteed compensation or offset for any increased municipal costs arising from newly allocated housing lands. I also appreciate the desire for timely servicing and the potential benefits promised by cross-border arrangements, but we must be clear. We do not need to cede land or control to secure a school, development charges, or long-term taxation benefits. A phased, Springwater-led Bayfield Street servicing corridor, funded and secured by developers with enforceable triggers, securities, and clawbacks, can deliver the same outcomes while keeping assessment, planning authority, and service quality under local control. Cross-border pipes introduce greater construction complexity, higher life cycle costs, operational dependency on another utility, and increased risk of future annexation. Agreeing to cross-border servicing with Barrie is not the only path to secure the tax base, development charges, or a high school for that matter. A Springwater-led Bayfield Street corridor wastewater solution can deliver the same long-term community benefits while protecting Springwater's planning control, revenues, and transparency. The claims that annexation or immediate cross-border servicing is required to secure a high school or the millions of dollars in taxation are simply overstated and avoidable with properly structured phasing, financing, and legally enforceable servicing agreements. I hold no ill will towards our facilitators, neighboring councils, or staff who have worked hard on regional solutions. I support coordinated planning where it is open, evidence-based, and respectful of local priorities, but I cannot support a sealed framework that was negotiated without full council participation and that fails to guarantee housing outcomes and protections for our residents and what they deserve. It would have been refreshing to have fulsome disclosure of maps and housing assumptions and employment assumptions prior to the facilitation final process, and a council-led negotiation pathway with transparency and public confidence. I remain ready to work constructively toward a revised agreement in any form that protects Springwater's housing needs and long-term interests. Thank you, Mayor Coughlin.
Councillor Garwood?
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin, and I have some comments to make as well before the vote occurs. Before I do jump into them, respectfully, what I hear when I listen to that statement is saying no and asking for more, Deputy Mayor Cabral. I wish I lived in that world that you were speaking about, but that is not reality. We speak about transparency. I believe this council has voted almost unanimously to release everything, probably, and I'm just making a guess here, more than any other party that has been involved in this process, regardless of the information that has been provided, whether it pads or supports one perspective or another, it has been released because it should have been. This process has been a transparent process because it is a closed facilitation process that Deputy Mayor Cabral, you are a part of. You have sat in those conversations more than I have, more than Councillor Alexander has, more than Councillor Thompson has, more than Councillor Moore has, and more than Councillor Fisher has. You are our deputy mayor, a part of those conversations. If you feel that it has been a sealed framework, again, I don't understand where that comes from, the perspective of a sealed framework. When I have a concern, I picked up the phone. I've called both facilitators. I've done the research. I've talked to the mayor. I've answered the phone calls from residents when those concerns come forward, and I bring them forward and advocate. You have the same ability, Deputy Mayor Cabral. So there are no backdoor negotiations. This is not productive. If we as a council spent a fraction of the effort that has been utilized on political attacks to get a better deal for the residents of Springwater, then we would be laughing right now, but we are not. But I am also not willing to sit here and risk what has been negotiated just to say no. We have seen that story once again. So again, one reoccurring concern that many of us share is the fear that we could end up like other Ontario municipalities, forced down a similar path with little to show for it. The province of Ontario has been clear and consistent about its intentions, not only in communication directly with this council, but also in numerous public letters and meetings. Ignoring this clearly only contributes to the spread of misinformation and unnecessary anxiety. Yesterday, I listened to the meetings of both the County of Simcoe and the Township of Ormondonte, and I observed councils in action, and I watched as both bodies chose to be the adults in the room, putting the best interests forward for their communities ahead of politics and prioritizing tangible outcomes that are realistic over testing the limits of provincial directives. We have also heard from members of the public during these discussions, echoing a very similar sentiment. We may not like the situation. I have said that 100 times at this table, but it is our responsibility to negotiate the best possible deal. Saying no, once again, is so easy. Both the County of Simcoe and the Township of Ormondonte have already passed resolutions endorsing their respective framework agreements, understanding that there are additional considerations attached to each, and that the province has called for a local solution since day one. The Premier sat 3 kilometers from here and said 2 years ago a local solution was preferred. Now it is our turn to do the same, which we should have done on the 15th of October. To suggest that we could get nothing is a reality. It is based, it's not fear-mongering. It is based on comments shared by our neighbors in Ormondonte just last evening. If we choose inaction, a boundary adjustment will occur regardless. Again, that is not my opinion. Go watch the meeting that was said last night in Ormadate. This is not speculation, it is fact. While the path forward has been extremely challenging, it's also an opportunity to ensure Springwater emerges stronger and better positioned for the future. So once again, respecting everyone to have the opportunity to speak, I would like to call the vote. We have talked about this for 2 years now.
Counselor Alexander, Counselor Thompson, and I also have not. Counselor Alexander?
Okay, I'll try and keep this brief. My biggest issue with the framework has always been, which I've been very vocal about, the cross-border servicing piece. I don't like the amount of land we're giving. I don't like the deal in general. The cross-border servicing piece is not logical. Between collaboration between township staff, Ainley, and the township's long-term partner, the MLG, has resulted in detailed technical plans that fully scope out timelines and costing for the Maiden Springwater solution. This plan further allows the township to build out the Bayfield corridor as envisioned. There is no plan for cross-border servicing in the Barrie framework. I'm going to just read the top and the bottom to save time of item 6.4 on this framework agreement. Read the whole thing. I am not picking and choosing. It simply says two things, which I'm not a fan of. At the township's request, the parties agree that cross-border servicing will be dealt with in a future agreement. Skip to the end. All future agreements must adhere to the principle of full cost recovery by the city. This refers to all capital investment required to provide the servicing and ongoing operation and maintenance costs. We are on the hook. We have no timeline. We have no costs. This township is on the hook for that whole thing. It is like getting a 50-page legal agreement missing 20 to 30, pages 20 to 30 and saying, I'm just going to sign it anyways. I'm sure it's all good. That is what we're asking to be doing if we vote for this. So no, I cannot support this. When we speak about a local solution, that is what Councillor Moore's motion is about. It is not walking away from the table. It is a local solution. And so we are clear, I too had a conversation with the facilitator today. And the question I asked is, would the minister be open to receiving feedback from the municipality outside of this agreement? Is he open, or is it done? We have no chance. And the answer was, there is always room for further feedback. That is what we're doing. We are not walking away from the table. We are proposing another solution that is in the best interest of this township. I am willing to work with the minister on a mutually beneficial agreement. I understand we will lose some land. That is inevitable. It's horrible. I don't want it. It is inevitable, but I will not pigeonhole this township into a bad deal.
Counselor Thompson, and then I'll have final remarks.
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. Just really to clarify Councillor Alexander remarks about the township being on the hook for wastewater services if Barrie can't fulfill their obligation, through the chair to Director Harvey. Who is on the hook for the wastewater services for those two MZOs? Is it the development charges, or is it tax dollars?
And as I'm just going to leave staff out of this conversation tonight. I think that they've been there for us for quite some time, and they've told us over and over again what we need to hear. But
All right, well, thank you. Just to follow on, so just to clarify Deputy Mayor's Deputy Cabral's comments about this council hasn't had full participation. I want to be very clear. I feel that I have had full participation because for the past 2 years, I haven't sat on my hands. I haven't been like an ostrich and stuck my head in the sand. I've reached out to whoever I could. I've beat doors down. If I needed an answer, I didn't wait to get the answer. I went out and found the answer. I'm very confident that I have the information, all the information that I need to make a very clear and informed decision, one that's best for the residents of Springwater. I like the deal. I think it's a fantastic deal compared to the Ennisville deal, for sure. Things I like about the deal, it'll be good for Springwater, it'll be good for Barrie, It will be good for regional healthcare. It will be good for the environment, and it will be good for recreation. It ticks the boxes for me. I would like to have an opportunity somehow to vote in favor of the deal.
So again, this will, if you speak a second time or third time, then it's gonna have all members are gonna.
I haven't spoken.
Counselor Fisher.
I'll make it brief, Mayor. This is a terrible deal. The deal that some of us lobby for.
Gallery, I'm gonna ask that we remain decorum, please.
What do you stand to
Decorum.
profit from it, guys? This is a terrible deal. I don't know why that's some of us are acting like lobbyists here and pushing for it. I do not want to vote on this. I think that that this would be the end of Springwater, and why Councillor Thompson keeps pushing for it, I do not know. But maybe he thinks that. Maybe some of us think that having deals sent to us from Barrie is negotiation. Bad deals sent to us from Barrie is negotiation. It's not. We've never had a chance to negotiate. I myself, in 2 years of doing this, have not felt engaged. As a matter of fact, I felt sidelined on it. That is not being an ostrich, Councillor Thompson, or burying my head in the sand. It's just not being allowed to fully negotiate, right? So I won't vote on this deal. It's still terrible. It's not good for the people of Springwater. And I think they'll find out if we went forward with it, how dirty some politicians have been towards them.
Decorum, please. Decorum. On
I
that
can
note,
say that because I think
Councillor
it's
Fisher,
dirty
decorum.
business. It is.
Decorum. I'm gonna ask that there is decorum. Thank you. On that, as you will recall, Councillor Fisher, concerns were raised over a year ago that there wasn't enough inclusion and that my negotiating skills were not to your level. So I created a committee and put you on that committee so that you could be involved in the negotiations. So this assumption or this rhetoric that this council hasn't been involved, numerous opportunities over and over again. And if you didn't take the opportunity to have a say or to have input, it was made available to you. As far as if there's still a table and if the minister is going to listen to this, the facilitated negotiations have come to an end. The province has asked us to vote on a framework. That framework has formed an agreement. A boundary adjustment is going to happen one of two ways. It's going to be an annexation, legislated, or it's going to be an agreement. The difference between the opportunity we have in front of us tonight and what happened to Vespra when they took the Georgian Mall lands and what happened to Innisfil is there's an opportunity for compensation and collaboration. You may not like it, but it is the most significant compensation that has been offered in Ontario to date. This is not ill-negotiated. By voting this down, I have been accused about giving away our land. If you want to give it away, vote against the agreement. Let the province come and annex it, and we'll get nothing, just as Innisfil did and just as Vespra did. We have before us this evening a vote in the negative. Again, Council, tonight is that the report from the township staff regarding the City of Barrie boundary adjustment proposal dated October 15th, 2025 be received, and that Council for the Township of Springwater rejects the City of Barrie boundary proposal as presented and inform the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing. And as I can't call a recorded vote,
I'll call it.
thank you. Councilor Garwood.
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. So as Mayor Coughlin stated, the motion being requested or a recorded vote is for the Township of Springwater to reject the City of Barrie boundary adjustment proposal. When I call your name, please state how you vote, yes or no. And just to clarify, stating yes, you would be voting to reject. Stating no would be not rejecting it. Counselor Garwood,
No.
Counselor Alexander. Yes. Counselor Thompson,
No.
Counselor Moore,
Yes.
Counselor Fisher,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Cabral.
I'm sorry, I cannot support the framework agreement in its present form, and my answer is yes.
And as a reminder to council, in accordance with our procedural bylaw, when a recorded vote is called, there is no more comment. It is a vote, yes or no.
Mayor Coughlin.
No.
That carries.
Council, at this time, unfortunately, in accordance with Municipal Act, I am bringing forward a bylaw using strong mayor powers to authorize the execution of the boundary adjustment restructuring proposal with the city of Barrie. I will now forward a copy of the proposed bylaw and my reasons to the clerk and members of council. It's already presented. Has it been received? Clerk Marshall, has notice been received? In your email. In my opinion, this bylaw could potentially support the provincial priorities of building 1.5 million homes, residential units by December 31st, and constructing and maintaining infrastructure and supporting housing. May I have a mover and seconder for this, please? Councillor Thompson, Councillor Garwood. In addition, this bylaw will include notwithstanding any prior or forthcoming direction pertaining to this matter. Received? Yep. Thank you. So again, council, this is the bylaw that's in front of us to authorize the execution of the boundary adjustment restructuring proposal with the city of Barrie. Council, all those in favor? All those opposed? And that has carried. There's nothing on the, we're going to take a break. At this time, council, if you have a comment, at this time, we're going to be taking a moment.
Mayor Coughlin, I object.
Counselor-
I'd like to discontinue, please.
Counselor
Point of
Fisher.
order.
Councillor Fisher, you had your hand up?
Yeah. Roll bylaw.
It's already suspended. Councillor Fisher, your mic's not on. If I could just ask you to begin again, please.
Yeah, certainly. Directing our solicitor to challenge the validity of the impugned bylaw by providing a broad range of authority to the solicitor to take any and all course of legal action that, in the opinion of the solicitor, are required to have the matter resolved, including, for example, an application to the courts to squash the impugned bylaw on the basis of illegality and/or an application of judicial review. And 2, directing the solicitor to seek an injunction to restrain the municipality and any other party from acting upon the impugned bylaw unless and until the matter in said one is above determined by the courts, and to take any and all course of legal action that, in the opinion of the solicitor, we are required to prevent any further action taken upon the bylaw unless and until the matter in one above is determined in the courts. This can have severe negative impacts on the municipality. I believe it's an abuse of strong mayor's powers, even when our lawyer has warned against it. I would like to move to have an injunction go into place.
And has this been provided to the clerk? While the clerk prepares that, we will take a 5-minute break. All right, council, staff, and members of the public, we're going to reconvene. Seconder? Prior to doing so, we are going to, we've already. Council, before us now, we have a motion from Councillor Fisher. And a seconder for that, please. Councillor Alexander. And I will. And just confirming. Do you mind reading it? Clerk Marshall?
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. So the motion reads that council direct and in consultation with Councillor Fisher, Loopstra Nixon to challenge the validity of the impugned bylaw and provide a broad range of authority to the solicitor to take any and all courses of legal action that, in the opinion of the solicitor, are required to have the matter resolved, including, for example, an application to the courts to quash the impugned bylaw on the basis of illegality or an application for judicial review. And that council direct Loopstra Nixon to seek an injunction to restrain the municipality and any other party from acting upon the impugned bylaw unless and until the matter is determined by the courts and or to take any and all courses of legal action that, in the opinion of the solicitor, are required to prevent any further action taken upon the bylaw unless and until the matter above is determined by the courts.
Council, any comments or questions on this? Councillor Alexander?
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. So I do have a quick comment, and it is regarding the ability to use the strong mayor's powers given the situation we're in right now. And when I'm looking at however many paragraphs down here, whereas pursuant to Ontario Regulation 580-22, building 1.5 million new residential units by December 31st, 2031, and constructing and maintaining infrastructure to support housing is a provincial priority prescribed for the person, blah, blah, blah. Councillor Moore's motion accommodates all of that. Although we voted the framework down, we engaged with the minister in order to move housing forward. The map that Councillor Moore put up to be sent to the minister is about housing. So I don't understand how you're able to use your strong mayor power against something that follows a provincial priority.
Again, we were asked tonight to vote on a framework. By voting that framework down, we were working against the provincial policies. To suggest that because we send the minister a map and say, can you please do this? And expect that to now form part of that framework, to me, that map had been presented during a facilitated process. It was not adopted by the province. It was not, did not form part of the agreement. The province has already seen that. So to me, that was Deputy Cabral.
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. And just actually on that note, I'm kind of trying to wrap my head around how we've been sitting here being told that we needed to agree to that agreement or the province was going to implement its own boundary adjustment, which I think members of council understood that. And if the province is going to basically look at it and review it and implement their own boundary adjustment, hopefully listening to what Oro-Medonte and the county have said, as well as the correspondence through Councillor Moore's notice of motion, I failed to see how utilizing the strong mayor powers at this point changes that.
I'm going to need clarification. Changes what?
Well, basically, we turned it down and the province, that's what we've been telling everybody. And you have also been telling them that the province will step in and implement a plan that they think is reasonable. And my hope would be that the reasonable plan would be not as generous as what we were giving up to the city of Barrie here, yet it still would meet the provincial priorities. Yet you've still used strong mayor powers with respect to the housing to override that, basically.
Correct. Councillor Fisher?
I agree. The argument's always been that the province will do something, right? But we seem to have used strong mayor's powers to rush what we know to be a bad deal in the place of what the something would be. By that rationale, wouldn't you just let the province do what they wanted anyway? I just feel that we're using strong mayor's powers to get a bad deal done for our residents in the place of whatever another deal might have been imposed upon us. It just doesn't seem very logical at all. I also think that it's not the correct use of strong mayor's powers. And I actually hate the fact that Springwater seems to be ground zero for testing strong mayor's powers for the province. And that seems to be exactly what's happening. But
I concur. I also think it's unfortunate that we need to learn this and continue to use these. The suggestion that using strong mayors to ensure that our township receives what has been negotiated over the what if. That what if in history has been zero. The intention of using strong mayors is to ensure that the 2 years of negotiations that we have put in there, all the work that has gone has just not been thrown out the window. That is why strong mayors is being used. Follow on.
we haven't negotiated for 2 years. We had bad deals thrust upon us from Barrie. That's what happened. We can call it negotiation, but it's not negotiation. We've used strong mayor's powers to push through, or you're attempting to push through a very bad deal for us. That's what's happening.
So the motion on the floor is speaking to engaging Loopster Nixon for all the reasons outlined by Councillor Fisher. Are there any comments or questions pertaining to that? Councillor Thompson.
Just a comment, Mayor Coughlin. I gave my opinion on wasting more money on lawyers and consultants on this. I mean, I think the people that are going to be most upset that this negotiation is over is the lawyers and the consultants because they're getting rich on it. I see no point in spending any more of taxpayers' money on this. And as a taxpayer, it offends me that we just keep going to that well, trying for our own validation, for our own confirmation bias. I don't think it's going to serve our residents well.
Deputy Cabral.
I'm not going to, debate with anybody, but I will say that we had several legal opinions that basically said that, when you could, when you couldn't, and they were all over the map. So, I have to admit that council voted the majority to not go through with the particular deal because we have reservations about specific parts of the deal. So you've used your strong mayor powers, and I recognize that. They were granted to you. However, that does not preclude council taking a position to at least verify that the strong mayor powers were used appropriately in these circumstances.
Anything further, council? Not seeing any. All those in favor? And those opposed? That is carried. We will now move on to our action reports. May I have a mover and seconder for the action reports, please? Councillor Garwood, Councillor Alexander, that action report items 11.2 through 11.7 be received and that the recommendations contained therein be approved. 11.2 is the 2025 Springwater Swing Tournament fundraising update. 11.3 is OP 2024-006 ZB 024019 and SU 2024-003 Stone Manor Woods Phase 5. 11.4 is 277 Old Second South or the consent agreement authorization. 11.5 is the drainage agreement acceptance. 11.6 is the award of 2025 66 RPF, and that's for the generator for Yard 1. And 11.7 is the Carson Neighborhood Phase 1A security reduction. Any comments or questions on these? All those in favor? That has carried. Item 12 is our information reports. A mover and seconder, please. Councillor Moore, Councillor Fisher. That the reports listed herein, excuse me, be received for information. 1 is the 2025 Roma ministerial delegations. 2 is the bylaw services monthly report. 3 is the corporate credit card report for August of 25. And 4 is the check registry for September of 25. Any comments or questions on any of these? All those in favor? And that is carried.
She'd like.
Oh, no. Item 13 are municipal updates. And notices of motion. Oh, sorry. Municipal update, Councillor Garwood.
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. Just a couple items I wanted to mention. Some pretty exciting times in Elmvale the past couple months as the community's been rallying around the Elmvale Harvesters. The Harvesters opening was this past Saturday. From what I understand, it was a sold-out house, which was really nice to see. I wanted to specifically thank Director Culver and Manager Dean. I'm not sure if they're here right now, but to thank them for their efforts in working with the Harvesters. I know council was fully supportive of their initiatives. The mayor and myself had the opportunity of speaking during their opening and presenting them with a celebratory scroll on behalf of Township Springwater Council. Harvesters didn't win, but besides the point, the atmosphere in that building was pretty special. They have a home game again this Saturday, so we'll be out once again cheering them on. This past Sunday, the Elmvale Presbyterian Church celebrated their 165th anniversary. Again, I had the opportunity to attend and present them with a scroll on behalf of council. We witnessed their celebration, and again, I wanted to congratulate them. Also in Elmvale, the community will notice the Remembrance Day banners have now lined the streets of Queen Street. This is a program each year that has been very special, not only to our community and this township, but also our local Legion in Elmvale. I believe it's the 4th or 5th year of that partnership, and it's incredible to see that we've consistently worked through a significant list of local heroes who have fought for this country and for our communities. So starting next year, there will actually be a process for members of the community, members of the Springwater community to submit requests to have their loved ones included in the program, which is very special. That is, again, in partnership with the Elmvale Legion. Just in 2 weeks, it's wild to be talking about Christmas already, but the Elmvale Christmas Night Market will be happening once again in Elmvale, local businesses, and at the Community Hall this year, November 20th and 21st. Last year, it was an incredible success. I don't think I've seen that many people in the community beyond our 2 festivals. So get out there, support local, support our local businesses. The BIA is funding and supporting the initiative this year, trying to enhance it and grow it. So it's pretty exciting for the entire Springwater community. And the last item I wanted to mention was a motion. I've mentioned it a couple times now, but there was a motion I brought forward a month or so ago, which is called the Elect Respect motion. It's focused on putting a positive focus around municipal government, provincial government, federal government, and creating an environment where people want to be a part of our government structures. When the Township of Springwater signed on to it, I believe we were the 15th municipality. Just in the past month or so, that number's doubled. So already over 30 municipalities across the province and almost 200 elected officials, that number's also almost doubled, has signed on to the pledge. So I'm happy to see that our council passed that motion and that the good efforts of the Elect Respect organization is starting to bleed across the province.
Councillor Thompson?
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. Springwater Public Library is in the news again in a good way. They've just won the People's Choice Award for the 2025 Georgian Bay Reads. Also would like everybody to take note that the silent auction for the Springwater Library has begun. It ends November the 15th. There's some great items for auction. Please go to their website. With Christmas coming up, there's a really good opportunity to get some really good things at good deals. Also would like to congratulate the Elmville Harvesters of the Ontario Elite Hockey League, our new senior A team. They put a great product on the ice and well worth the visit. Congratulations to the hockey team and to the community for all the support they offered on Saturday night.
Okay, and before I go to Councillor Fisher, I'd also like to point out that as the Harvesters were dropping their puck, it was also Game 7 of the World Series, and the Elmville Arena was still packed. Standing room only, downstairs, upstairs, the streets were lined, so that community still showed up. Councillor Fisher.
Thank you. On Sunday out on Old Second, the Lions Club put on the pumpkin toss, which happens just after Halloween. 2 catapults were out there tossing pumpkins down the field. Great time for families. My daughter loved it, so I really want to say thank you to the Lions Club. They put on a great event, cooking burgers, coffees, and the turnout was amazing. The weather was also great. Had the opportunity to go there with our chair, Hale Mahone, from the CRA to represent. And yeah, really look forward to it again next year. Hopefully we have the same weather.
Not seeing any, at this time, we'll move on to our notices of motion. The first is moved by Councillor Fisher.
I'd actually move to defer to the next meeting.
Deferring. Our next is by Councillor Alexander and seconded by Councillor Thompson. I will turn to Councillor Alexander, unless you're going to toss a coin for who has to read it.
I think I lost that bet, so bear with me. So whereas council has received requests from residents to review zoning provisions related to the parking of special vehicles, including school buses and recreational travel trailers, and whereas the township zoning bylaw 5,000 as amended under section 3.41 limits the storage parking of one licensed operational school bus to the rural residential zone, and whereas the township's zoning bylaw 5,000 as amended under section 3.43 permits the storage parking of special vehicles, i.e. auto trailer, travel trailer, boat or boat trailer on a driveway in a residential or agricultural zone during the season for which it was designed, provided that such lot is not used for apartment building dwelling purposes. Now therefore it be resolved that staff be directed to review section 3.41 and 3.43 of the Township Zoning Bylaw 5,000 as amended as it relates to the parking storage of licensed operational school buses and special vehicles, and that staff report back to council with a draft amendment through a housekeeping process to permit the storage parking of one licensed operational school bus in additional zones, the storage parking of special vehicles on driveways year-round, And where there is not sufficient space on the driveway to accommodate the storage parking of the special vehicle wholly within the property, that storage parking be permitted in the interior side yard, rear yard, and further that staff be directed to pause enforcement of storage parking of special vehicles and including school buses and recreational travel trailers until the subsequent report is presented and a decision of council is made. Okay, that was a mouthful. I'll be brief and then I'll pass it to Councillor Thompson. The trailers, the boats has come to my attention through various different complaints. I spoke with our planning department, our bylaw. Given that these vehicles are allowed 3 seasons of the year, but not in the winter, poses, I don't quite understand why. If it's allowed, it should be allowed all year, in my opinion. We also ran into the fact that there are now trailers that are 4 season, which ended up wasting a ton of our bylaws time as they had to go back and forth, only to, find out that it actually was allowed. I think, we've spoken with fire, there's no fire concerns. The ability to do this at this given time is timely because the planning department was reviewing this bylaw anyways for housekeeping. So I would just ask for your support in allowing people to park the vehicles of their choice, with still regular bylaws around it in their driveways. And I will pass it over to Councillor Thompson.
Councillor Thompson?
Thank you, Councillor Alexander, and again, through the chair, I can support this, sending this back to planning and to staff to come back with a recommendation, hopefully that we can get this housekeeping resolved. And I know the school bus in question in my neighborhood, we walk by it a couple of times a day. It really is not an issue. It's parked in a safe spot. It's a small school bus, so I think that we should have no trouble getting this looked after for this resident. Thank you.
Councillor Garwood?
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin, and thank you to both the councillors for bringing this forward. I'll just separate the two for a moment. I think from the school bus perspective, to me, it's a no-brainer. I think, again, these school bus drivers are providing a service for the youngest members of our community. So I absolutely think that it should be something that is permitted, and I'm surprised that it's not as it is. Secondary piece, again, I'm happy to support the initiative to go back to staff. I would like to see, I do look forward to reading the report regarding the boats and the recreational vehicles. I guess my only concern is, as we know, maybe a boat sits in a driveway for a little bit at the start of the season and a little bit at the end. But I know there's been concerns that I've received from members of the community of it then becoming a permanent parking spot for a boat for 8 to 12 months or 8 to 10 months of the year. We also know that different parts of our municipality have larger size lots compared to maybe some more residential style communities. So maybe some provisions in there for lot size and dwelling type, I think might also bode well. Sounds like we're going to need a boat with all that rain out there, but anyway, I'm happy to support it.
Deputy Corral?
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. I'm sure that Councillor Garwood is aware of a couple of locations right in Elmvale where there's one particular location. They have 2 boats, an RV and a van that sits there all the time. And it's basically at the front of their house, on their lawn pretty well. So I think it's going to be a little bit difficult for staff to differentiate between a school bus and maybe someone who has a semi tractor. I've seen them occasionally parked in people's driveways too. But I do understand the issue that it comes up because it's on a complaint basis. So if you've got a street where someone's not happy with their neighbor, they just use the bylaws occasionally to harass their neighbors, whereas someone one street over could have 2 or 3 vehicles parked out in front of their house and nobody on that street minds because they're nice people. Everybody gets along with them. So I think it's a difficult call, but hopefully staff will be able to come back with something that will, provide some opportunity, maybe permit system or something, who knows? Thank you.
Not seeing anything further. All those in favor? And that has carried. We'll now move on to a notice of motion from Councillor Moore. And looking for a seconder, Counselor Fisher, Counselor Moore.
Every year I'm here. Whereas the township recognizes the continued time and effort of the volunteers at the Snow Valley Highlands Park outdoor rinks, and whereas the volunteers have requested a donation from the township for a portion of the cost of the tarps in the amount of $1,800, be it resolved that council hereby approve a donation in the amount of $1,800 for rink tarps for the Snow Valley Highlands Park for the 2025 season to be funded from the Ward 4 discretionary funds. I'll just go on quickly to say, I don't see, oh, there he's he's up there. I'll just wait for Director Bedard. Or sorry, Director Culver.
It's like prison.
Thank you, Director Culver. Could you please just quickly bring council up to speed on the new policy that'll be coming forward for the years 2026 and ongoing?
Director Culver?
Thank you, Mayor Coughlin. Sorry, I was in the other office. So council had indicated desire to see the support for neighborhood ice rink policy into the draft budget. So we've included an amount for 2026 that could be used for such things as tarps or other implements for neighborhood rinks. And our intention is to put together a bit of an application package that would allow us to kind of ensure that township liabilities are covered off and things like that. But it is in the draft budget. Unfortunately, Councilor Moore is looking for some support that we don't have access to in 2025, so it would be implemented in 2026.
Thank you for that. Not seeing anything further, council. All those in favor? And that has carried. Councilor, are there any other notices of motion? Not seeing any. Are there any items for future consideration? Not seeing any. May I have a mover and seconder to approve the bylaws, please? Councilor Thompson, Councilor Moore, that the bylaws. Sorry. Councilor Moore?
We need to scratch this.
Councilor Moore is asking for a review of the bylaws. The last three. Yeah. That the bylaws listed here be signed and sealed by the mayor and clerk. The 2025-090 OPA 70 and OP 2024-006 Stone Manor Woods Phase 5, 5,411 ZB 2024-019 Stone Manor Woods Phase 5.
Yeah.
Comments or questions on these? All those in favor? That is carried. Mover and seconder for the confirmation bylaw, please. Councilor Garwood, Councilor Alexander, that bylaw 2025-091 to confirm and adopt the proceedings of council at the regular meeting held on November 5th, 2025 listed here and be signed and sealed by the mayor and clerk. All those in favor? That has carried. An adjournment. Councilor Alexander, Deputy Cabral, that the regular meeting of the Township of Springwater does now adjourn at 10:08 PM to meet again in regular meeting on November 19th, 2025 at 6:30 PM. All those in favor? And that has carried.